Hello, and thanks for joining us for this episode 16 of Gamers of Lost Park podcast. We're recording this on the 26th of August 2015. I'm Antony Chasson, and joining me, as always, is the Marcus to my Dom, the man who at the mere mention of DLC gets his chainsaw revving, the Baird of Blackpool. It's Mr. Darren Whittam. Hello, sir.
Hello, Anthony. How are you doing?
Not too bad. They're Gears of War themed, if you hadn't guessed.
I wasn't sure, actually. I wasn't sure. No, I was just... You were saying it then, and as soon as you said the Dom to my Marcus, I was like, oh, what can I say? What quote can I say? And all I could think of was automatic reload, and I didn't know the sound effects. So I failed.
For me, I've been walking around the house all week going, come on!
That's it, that's when you fail it. See, I didn't often hear that because I always got it just spot on that sweet spot. But that was...
How dare you, sir?
That's a dynamic, man. That was one of the things that revolutionised... Well, I don't think many other games copied it, but it was just such a fantastic little game dynamic in that game, wasn't it?
Oh, it was amazing. It really was, and I love that there was kind of like achievements and stuff, you know, for like perfect reloads and
that's
and
right.
It really was. It was just fantastic. You know, the shotgun in Gears of War, which is what we're talking about, just in case you haven't guessed it already. But the shotgun, once you kind of got that perfect reload, was amazing. You know, it was fantastic.
Yeah, and I loved that, just that you kept your eye on there, and it was just a constant sort of, like a mini game almost, you know, it was just, you always wanted to hit that sweet spot, and you just felt good. A constant positive reinforcement when you got it right, and a constant like, come on, like you say, when you didn't. Oh, how cool is that? Yeah, man. So yeah, hello. how are you, mate? You alright?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, How are you?
I'm okay. What have I been doing in the last week since the last podcast? Nothing that much. I had my nephews round at the weekend. They came round from the Midlands. So if you're listening, Lucas and Alex, hi to you guys. I hope you're gaming. I hope you're listening. And it was quite interesting because they're a bit younger than me, obviously. You've got 13 and 11. They are, but they're banging to the games. And it's funny because I've sort of been gaming with them since, you know, they could hold a pad, which is pretty early, and that's how they know me. They know me as like their gaming uncle, and I'm sure you've got some nephews like that as well, haven't you? They're just gamers, and you're a bit of a gaming uncle with them, aren't you?
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's quite cool being a gaming uncle, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic. So they came down, and they like to come here, and because we just play games the whole time. But this is the first time when they actually brought a game or some games with them, because they've got a PS4 now. So they brought with them Arkham Knight. For me to
like them already.
Yeah, for me to have a look at, and they absolutely love it, like yourself. And they were shocked that I didn't have it, to be honest, and I had to explain myself. I felt pretty bad. It was a massive shame that I didn't already have it, and then the fact that I was saying I wasn't going to buy it, and I won't go into that because I've gone into it in a recent podcast or two, but I was just like, yeah, you know, it's not different enough from the last one I played for me. But we put it on, so I have actually got to see it, you know, sort of in the same room as me, rather than just in a compressed video or something like that. And it is absolutely beautiful. You know, you talked it up, rightfully so. You know, it's an absolutely beautiful looking game. The rain, the atmosphere, you know, the Gotham that they've brought to the console screen, and probably to a lesser degree at this stage to the PC screen, it's definitely a beauty worth beholding. It really is. So I got to look at Batman, which is pretty cool. So it's sort of a bit of payback there. So the nephew's bringing me the news in a way, and they weren't blown away by Jetpack when I showed them a bit of vintage gaming. I was showing them my little record that I'm trying to get. So they weren't.
But surely they were impressed that you were like second in the world.
I don't know, you know, when they saw the game, I don't think anything could sort of wash that taste away, their sort of disdain for it. I think they did appreciate that, but yeah.
So they were like, whatever, Grandad.
Yeah, I was like, do you want to go? Do you want to shoot some bubbles? They sort of begrudgingly had a go, but they didn't really want to play it for that long. And I've given up on that anyway, just to let you know. I can't beat my score of 47, and it's either the challenge is beneath my time, or I'm just not up to the challenge, and I'm going to pick the former. But either way, I'm giving up. I can't spend all my time trying to get 49 bubbles. It's so difficult. The best I've done is matched my 47, and I can't get 49 to equal first or 50. So I'm gonna stop. Maybe I'll have the odd go, but I think I'm just gonna kind of stop. And what else did we do with them? We got to play some 4-player couch co-op, which is a rare thing over at the Whittam household, so that was pretty cool. We played Mario Kart 4-player and Spelunky Deathmatch 4-player. And yeah, Mario Kart really comes into its own on 4-player. It's so rare that I have the opportunity to do that. It sort of takes me back to when I was sort of 19, playing it on the SNES. And the magic's just there, when you're all in the same room, and it's so... it's sort of so in your face, and you can taunt each other and stuff, and it's just so gripping and exciting. It's just cool. We played on a little bit of 200cc. My goodness, that is so fast. You need to plan for your corner, like the start of a straight. It's just so fast. Couldn't find the brake button and things because you're just not used to the brake button in Mario Kart. And Spelunky Deathmatch is just chaotic, and that was good fun. So yeah, that was cool. The nephews came round and we had a great time with the games. I also felt it's been for me a week of tough decisions with just choosing games really. What with Mad Max and Metal Gear Solid coming out on the same day, and then Until Dawn coming out, and Gears of War Ultimate Edition. They're all sort of scurrying along at a great pace, and it's been difficult for me to sort of think, sort of take stock and think which game's the one I want to concentrate on, which games can I play, which have I got the time to actually fit in. So it's been a week of pondering these awful questions in gaming, that we're very lucky to have. Like, which fantastic game do I want to concentrate my time on?
Which one do I want to play next? And it's also worthwhile pointing out that you put a fantastic article up on our website, Gamers of the Lost Spark, today, just about that, really, about Mad Max and Metal Gear Solid kind of coming out on the same day. So that's kind of worth a read, and check it out on the website. But I know exactly what you mean. I mean, at the weekend, Friday, I was actually out sick on Friday. So Friday and Sunday, I was kind of looking for something to play, and I played one game, from my sick, feeling sorry for myself couch. But after that, I was kind of stuck. I was thinking, well, I don't want to go back into The Witcher. I don't want to fall into that. And I just was wishing that one of those games that you just mentioned was kind of out early. And it just seemed like we had that kind of not drought, but it was just like it could have better spaced the games that are coming out over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for The Witcher and Batman, I wonder what we would have done, over the last, what's it been, about 6 weeks. And maybe if in the absence of those titles, we'd have felt the drought a bit more. But, yeah, it was thinking of that, sort of, probably primarily Metal Gear Solid and Mad Max. The decision for Mad Max to hit on September the 1st, the same as Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, that, yeah, it bothered me enough and sort of inspired me a little bit to just get it down, to just write it down in article form. And yeah, that's on the website. Thank you for saying it's a good read. And yeah, but that is, it's good to get it. It's good therapy to get it out there and just see if people agree, see if they completely disagree. I mean, some people might buy both, but I think that it's going to hurt Mad Max a lot, because for me, for one, and it's in the article, but I'll briefly just say I still want Mad Max. I'm going to buy it, but it would have been a day one game for me had it not been released at the same as another big title, equivalent of MGS5, and I think that will harm Warner Brothers / Avalanche Studios because of that, because you can only charge a premium price really in the release week, in that window, that launch window, and after that, I think they'll have to reduce the game in order to remain competitive with the other blockbusters that are coming along, which means that they will get less money from the consumer who's buying the game. So ultimately, less profit. Now, if they'd have brought out Mad Max, for instance, a couple of weeks ago, I mean, I can't speak for all gamers, but I mean, I would have bought it. I'd have got it day one, because I was in a hiatus between The Witcher and the next big thing, and I would have jumped on it.
Absolutely, me too.
Yeah, so go on.
No, I think I would definitely buy it. I think now that game, because if you look at all of the kind of awesome games that are coming out between kind of next week to the end of the year, for me that game is now my post-Christmas game. There's always a bit of a lull around January, and that game, I won't be picking that game up until then. I'll be keeping an eye on Amazon after Christmas, because they always kind of reduce games quite heavily the day after Boxing Day. You start getting some really good deals, and I'll be looking for stuff like Mad Max then.
Yeah, and I'll be the same, because like you say, I can't think where I'd fit it in, because after Metal Gear Solid, for me that'll probably take me up to Fallout 4, which sort of comes out at the same time as the next Tomb Raider, and then we've got Star Wars Battlefront. I've probably missed a few, but and Halo 5. Yeah, so there's no time. There's no time for for Mad Max there, and that's because of for me particularly, I don't know if you're the same, but I can only play one massive immersive adventure at once. I couldn't play The Witcher and Mad Max together, or The Witcher and Fallout, or Fallout and Mass Effect together. I'd only play one game of that ilk on its own, and then I would play other games. Like I could play Star Wars Battlefront alongside Fallout 4, or Mad Max along.
Absolutely. I mean, Star Wars Battlefront is going to be one of those ones where you dip in for an evening, play with some friends, or even kind of, just for an hour, have a bit of a game, level up, have a, do some multiplayer, and then just kind of go out and then, come away from that and then play one of these single player immersive titles.
Yeah, that's the thing, I would never play sort of like Ni no Kuni and Final Fantasy VII at the same time, for instance. So I just think it's gonna hurt the profit that they make. And I just hope that doesn't put them off when they sort of do a marketing review about the results of the sales, and stop them doing something so interesting and kind of new, because that was an unexpected announcement at E3 2013, and for me it was a breath of fresh air, and I was like, I'm going to support this. It really looks good, and I feel a bit disloyal for my own convictions not getting it, but it's just that Hideo Kojima's magnum opus, his swan song, as he's going to leave Konami, just is too much of a big event for me to not be there day one. So up against that, it's just, unfortunately for me, and I know people, this is very subjective, it's a no-brainer for me though, I'm afraid.
No, absolutely, and our comments that we're getting as well from the article are going the same way. Pretty much a lot of them are saying that Metal Gear is definitely the purchase they're going to go for, and and judging by the reviews and the review scores that it's been getting across the board, it looks like a lot of people are agreeing with us that is the game to play in September.
Yeah, I really wish that I could find out, have a direct line if we were big enough press to just ask the question and get a reply from Avalanche or Warner Brothers, and just say, why did you stick with the date? Why not just shift it either forward or back? Probably forward, because I mean, if they delayed it, really, like you were saying, really, it'd be January for me, and get people to spend their Christmas money on it. Now that would be pretty wise. And other than that, it would have been anything from 2 to 4 weeks back from now would have been, I think, a good release window.
Absolutely, for me, I have no idea why people kind of stay away from summer, and they don't release games in the summer, because for me, I spend just as much time gaming in the summer as I do in the winter months, because there's always time for a bit of a game, in the morning or in the evening or weekends, even if the sun is blasting down on you, there always is time to have a bit of a game. Even like you're coming home from being out all day at the beach or whatever, you do just want to go and then have a game, and with the UK weather, can't speak for other kind of listeners around the world, but for the UK weather, a lot of the time it just rains all day, and then you just want to kind of have a game anyway, and I have no idea why you don't get these kind of quote unquote AAA titles during the summer.
Yeah, I mean, in the UK we're well placed for having a bit of gaming, aren't we? Certainly this summer. But you're absolutely right there. That then the summer games drought and this pacing or spacing of releases it's been common for a few years now, and I've never really understood it. I mean, well, I understand that everybody's vying for that Christmas market, but say a game takes a month to complete, you could have room for everybody a lot nice and steady throughout the year. I don't know. Is it? I mean, they've got a lot of money for market testing and stuff. So perhaps it is that even though we believe that there's lots of passionate and loyal gamers out there, that they're actually only a small percentage compared to the amount of people that buy games in the Christmas market. So it's better to stack them all up around that area because the numbers just work better that way. And if they span it out through the entire year when there isn't like a big occasion to be buying gifts for, then it's significantly less, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I don't like it.
Absolutely, and it's quite funny because, and not changing the subject, but one of the gripes that I've had this week is that on Tuesday, Gears of War Ultimate Edition came out. Yeah, so and it only came out in the US because again, back to that kind of Friday release window, we've got to wait until Friday. And on Tuesday, I was desperate to play Gears of War. I really wanted to play. Everybody, all the people on my Twitter feed, all the kind of US guys were all tweeting, "Oh, look at this! Just at our first game, it's amazing!" And I was just like so jealous that I was just cursing it because I've got both Nicola and I. We've got Gears of War Ultimate Edition downloaded, preloaded, sitting on our Xbox. But I have to wait until Friday because 20 years ago, Dixon's and the ELSPA decided that Friday was a good day to roll out video games, to get out of the way of video and music and video releases. And I just sat there and just kind of, you watch all these feeds and, Major Nelson's been kind of tweeting up a good one, going, you can get this, look how good this is, I'm going to stream it today. And I just sat there and I was just like, I hate you all. I want to play Gears of War, so it's just like, especially because this weekend being the bank holiday weekend, I've got some domestic chores to do. I've got some decorating to do, so I'm going to be begrudgingly decorating on Saturday, waiting to play Gears on Sunday because that's going to be my first time to actually kind of get to grips with it. And I was just like, why can't you just unlock the digital version? Okay, don't sell the on store, the shop bought one, but if you've unlocked it digitally, surely in this world it just doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, it's absolutely. It's a sort of like there's a lot of like other laws and traditions that once they get set in stone, they just seem to remain regardless of the logic behind that, staying put because times have changed and ideologies have changed and people have changed and demands have changed. Yet it's like, but that's the way it always is. And when the answer is, pretty much, well, that's because, why is that? Yeah, well, that's because that's the way it's always been. It's not good enough and it's not very adaptable. And it's surprising, especially with something like a digital copy. Maybe there's an argument for the physical copy, as you schooled me before about, the way that the shops work, but surely the sales for the digital copy wouldn't contribute to that. There wouldn't be a factor in complicating that.
Then they're not even in the charts. They don't even chart digital copies anyway.
Well, that's just another glaring, thing that it's like, well, we've never done that before, so we won't change it, even though digital's massive. I mean, look at Steam, for instance.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I'll stick a link again in this website, in the podcast notes to the Eurogamer article. But it was just about Dixon's basically sat down with the supply chains that were giving the games back then and said, if you give us the games on Friday, so we're ready for the weekend, we'll promote you in the weekend editions of the newspapers. We'll put out adverts. And it was so long ago that they were talking just about adverts on Friday and Saturday because then Sunday papers didn't exist. This is how long ago this kind of backroom shady handshake was done. And even, so Dixon's are not around anymore and the ELSPA are not around anymore, but we're still sticking to this. And it was basically, the theory was that because music and video comes out on Monday, it gives kind of 4 or 5 days, and then you've got another thing that you're selling on the Friday, and also because they wanted to make sure that stock was available for a fully stocked shop on a Saturday morning.
Wow.
And I'm just like, ridiculous.
Yeah.
So you can tell I'm just sitting down being... I mean, I know I've got Gears of War. Someone might say, you've got Gears of War on 360, why don't you just play it? But it's not the same. I want to see this new game, and I'm just kind of itching just to kind of have a go, rev my chainsaw, but I can't.
I'm sorry. And by all accounts, it's one of the best remasters that's been made as well. You know, not meaning to rub salt in the wounds, but from
yes.
the reports I'm reading are saying that the words remaster can be used quite loosely, you know, on a game, saying, you know, let's just up the texture slightly and, you know, sort of get it out there and people will buy it. But this is actually sort of worth getting, and it's sort of a love letter to the original, and it's a really you can tell a lot of love has gone into this remaster, and it's worth the title. And the first game was masterful, and remastering of that, this is sort of worth its salt. Let's say it's a fantastic remaster. They say
absolutely, and it's also adding extra content as well. But that's what I'm going to be playing next week. What have you been playing this week?
This week I have been playing Jetpack, as I alluded to before. But I'm giving it, you know, I was playing Jetpack because I was just trying to break this record, but I've had enough. You know, I know when to quit. It takes a man to know when to leave it alone, and I'm just going to stop. I'm like a dog with a bone sometimes, but I'm going to stop that. I think it was partly my nephew's sort of ambivalence towards it that just made me think, who cares? There's better challenges to pursue. So Jetpack, Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris, a little bit more, which I really like. I really like Diablo.
How far are you in now?
You know, I couldn't even tell you how far I am because the levels are sort of all over. You explore the desert or the Temple of Osiris, and you go into different levels and stuff. So I don't know. I couldn't really tell you. I play it with my little boy, so we just go into whatever level is open. I can't.
But you're having fun with it.
Yeah, the last one was sort
really
of a crypt beneath a waterfall, and I just like it. I like the fusion of Diablo and a bit of puzzling in there. I think it's really cool, and that was a free game as well, you know. So I think that's cool. It was a PS Plus game, wasn't it, for this month?
It was for August.
Yeah. A little bit more of that How to Survive Storm Warning edition, which was the Games with Gold Xbox game. But it's a similar perspective to Lara Croft, you know, this top-down, sort of Diablo-esque game. And I think the easy pick-up-and-play aspect of Lara Croft have sort of put me off the rather steep learning curve and more harsh gameplay of How to Survive. Though I think that if you've got a lot of time and you wanted to concentrate on just one game, that would be a good one to get your teeth into. For me at the moment, it's not for me, but it's okay. It seems to get rather mediocre reviews, but I think it's pretty cool if you had the time to sort of persevere. I think it's rather unforgiving at the beginning as well, and it's kind of long-winded to learn. But it seems okay. But excuse me, I don't think I'll be spending much more time on that. Rare Replay, you know, dipping in and out of that, all the other joys as well as Jetpack. And I suppose a highlight and a surprise highlight was the Black Ops 3 beta going open to the public at the weekend.
Yeah, it was on PS4, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah, so I played that and enjoyed it. Yeah, it looked really good as well to me, because I've skipped a few iterations of Call of Duty, so it kind of stood out for me. And rather than just looking where I'd got to with it when I quit, which is a Call of Duty Advanced Modern Warfare 2. Is that what? Have I jumbled that?
Warfare, World at War,
Black Ops,
Balls to the Wall edition.
Yeah.
I think you just kind of made if you know, with Activision and listening,
there's the next time.
that is trademark Lost Park.
So yeah, that was the point that I gave up on it. I was just like, I can't play this anymore. Even though I really enjoyed the single player campaigns, and I always have. But yeah, I'd sort of just had enough of it, and I was getting progressively worse at multiplayer. Not that that's why I gave up, because I always played it for the single player, and I think it was just that the single player was becoming more of an add-on, which was a switch from what I was used to, where the multiplayer was the add-on. And I was like, oh no, and I keep getting killed at multiplayer, and that's the main draw, and I'm not good at it, and so the single campaign is suffering because of that, so I probably won't bother. But yeah, because I missed a few years of it, actually just having it there to play, after I downloaded the 12.7 gig or whatever it was really good. I've got some learning to do if I'm going to, get any decent scores. I was worse than I thought that I would be. But yeah, I just thought it looked really crisp, clean, gorgeous. Actually, I thought it just looked really, really good. The mechanics that they sort of robbed off Titanfall, I thought worked really well. The wall running and the jumping.
That little double jump, it's really funny because I went to jump something and I just kind of double tapped and it did that kind of little almost absolutely, as you just pointed out, that Titanfall-esque kind of jetpack, and I just thought, that's an interesting. But it worked really well, and I totally agree. It looked very good. Yeah,
it's striking, and the maps I thought they just worked really well. The verticality and playability worked well as well. That accommodated for that boost jump and the fact that you could get up into these areas, and the controls felt really tight. It just felt good to play, but it didn't feel good to lose.
What modes were you playing?
Team Deathmatch was the only mode that I tried. Right. I felt overwhelmed just with building the classes and picking. I didn't know which weapons to use,
No, I didn't. I had the one, the Hawker or something, where you have a big long gun that kind of fire, and that was quite cool. It kind of fired electricity. I was playing the capture the areas, kind of when you have the different checkpoints and you just have to kind of capture them and hold them.
Yeah.
I was playing that, and I was quite enjoying it. That's kind of my favourite mode when I'm playing Battlefield. I enjoy that, and I know that I'm hoping that Star Wars Battlefront has one similar, because I really kind of enjoy that kind of just running around, not so much shooting, but just kind of capturing the bases and making sure that I'm kind of keeping hold of them.
Yeah, I'm sure it will, because I refer to that as a mode called Domination, which is because it was called Domination in Unreal Tournament, and that was when I was proper bang into FPS multiplayer, but that was on PC with a mouse and keyboard. Never really got that good on a console. And I was trying to explain the concept of a mouse and keyboard to my nephews as the true experience for an FPS, and they would.
You really were like Cranky Kong at the weekend, weren't you? Just kind of sitting in your rocking chair, going,
"In my day, James." Back then, FPSs weren't developed for this kind of controller, and they were like, "Don't be stupid." And I was like, "Honestly, man, they thought I was making it up." And I was like, and it was like, "Yeah, you use the mouse," and it was like, "Well, what keys do you use?" I was like, well, I use the arrow keys, but a lot of people use WASD. And what do you do with them? Well, you move around. And well, what's the mouse for? Imagine like that you've got a thumb on your head, and like if you move up, it pushes the head down and back, pulls it back, and it's for looking around. And how do you shoot then? Left and right mouse button. They're like, that's bizarre because it's not a trigger. And I could see the logic in it, but it's like.
The perplexed look on their faces must have been hilarious when you were like telling them what you used.
They're just like not bad and like that wouldn't work, and I'm like, it will work because it's the best thing. And I was like, you want to be careful because they're bringing out mouse and keyboard support on the consoles, and if they allow it on a game, you're going to get your ass whooped if you don't learn it. If the games can handle that kind of responsive,ness. And they were like, yeah, whatever. And I was just like, okay.
Whatever, Grando.
Yeah, see you later. They'll see one day. But yeah, I liked it. So I was rubbish at it, but I enjoyed playing it, and I was totally, it had that hook. I totally wanted to start again when the game finished. How did you find it then?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Same here. I sat down. I think it was kind of Sunday morning because I sent you a message, didn't I, saying that it was free. It was free to play, and I just kind of sat down and just kind of had a play. I think I played it again for a good kind of 90 minutes and just really enjoyed it. Just kind of got stuck in and just kind of jumped around and like you say, same as you, got killed a lot. But I'm the same as you. I don't really play. I enjoy playing Call of Duty games just for that Jerry Bruckheimer kind of wow moment every year, where you just kind of laugh at the campaigns on a yearly basis. But I enjoy playing them, so I always just kind of play the game, and then I always get it as a physical copy. I'll play the game, and then I just take it back to game and trade it in. Within a couple of weeks of buying it. I've dabbled with the zombie mode a couple of times with my nephew. Which is quite cool, but most of the time it's just kind of finish that campaign, normally in a couple of sittings, and then that's it, and I'm done with it. But, I enjoy that they're evolving the multiplayer, but for me, I guess, the multiplayer stuff for me is going to come with Halo and Star Wars this year.
Yeah, I quite agree. That will be the same for me. I don't think I'll be getting Black Ops 3 beta, but I don't think I'll be getting the beta. I don't think I'll be getting the proper game. But I think it's a good thing to do with the beta, especially for something as massive as Black Ops, because there'll be lots of people like me, I think, that won't necessarily buy the game, but because it's free and they're interested, you'll jump on the beta and have a go, which means the stress of the beta, I think, would be more than the actual stress on release day, which is great, because that means, you're definitely going to get a good experience when it finally comes out.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder if Star Wars is going to have a beta at all on... it would be... Because Sony are chomping it and really kind of advertising it more so than Xbox. I wonder if one of the announcements or one of the shows, they're going to have an announcement of a Battlefront beta on the PS4.
Oh, they're doing a beta on Xbox One within EA's Early Access?
No, that's just get the whole game early, isn't it?
I'm not sure. I thought it was... I didn't think you got the whole game early. I thought it was...
I thought you could just play it a week early if you have EA access.
Ah, okay. Maybe it is that. Maybe I didn't understand what they were saying at the time. I sort of decided it was quick. It was a quick...
You were too busy just looking at the screen going, oh, Star Wars.
Pretty much. That's what I always do when Star Wars Battlefront comes on. My jaw drops and dribble just starts forming, and it's not very pleasant, but yeah.
But so for me, my list of games this week, I played Tales from the Borderlands. So I finished episode 4. We've got one more to go from Tales from the Borderlands, and episode 4 is quite funny because going into it, I'd listened to a few podcasts and saw some things on Twitter, and people going, "Oh, it's the typical Telltale episode 4 curse where it's not very good." So I kind of went into it, and I was like, "Well, I don't really want to play it." I really kind of took their comments on board, and I was like, I really don't want to play it. I was like, but I'm enjoying this so much, and I was like, and then like I say, I was ill on Friday, so I just went, I just put it on. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I probably was on painkillers, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. There were some real laugh out loud moments in it, and I just thought it was, the same par as the other episodes. It finished with a rather good Armageddon parody, which did make me chuckle. But it was just very good, and I can't wait for that final episode.
Oh, fantastic. So it really is good for what ails you then.
Yeah, no, it really is. For me, I don't know. I did, before they started talking about it like last week, I didn't know about the 4th episode curse, because I really haven't come across a bad Telltale episode yet. And I've played Walking Dead and Wolf Among Us and Game of Thrones, but they've all been really good. So I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much that I actually fired up Borderlands 2 on the Xbox One, because I was in the right Borderlands-y mood on Sunday, and because, as we were talking about earlier, I couldn't quite find the game that I was looking for. I was just looking at my pins, and I was like, I haven't played Borderlands 2 from the Handsome Jack collection, so I fired that up and, just started it. I was doing it solo because Nicola was playing Toy Soldiers still, which he's loving, so I was just sat and just played Borderlands 2 on the Xbox One. So that was quite cool.
Wow, yeah, that's really cool. It shows how good the Tales from the Borderlands game is, when it just makes you want to just carry on in that world sort of thing, and get even more hands on and put Borderlands 2 on.
Absolutely, and it's really nice because the Borderlands 2 and the Handsome Jack collection has been patched. So my previous gripe about it, I think, maybe on our first podcast, was that there was a bit of screen tearing. Whenever you were turning round, it was always juddering, but now it is super smooth. It looks fantastic. And I just kept taking my headphones off and going to the wife, look at this, look what you're missing, It's just like, whatever, but it was really good. It looked fantastic. So I was I had a real enjoyment with that. And, when you start getting all of the achievements again, because they reset the achievements, and it was very good. It was good fun.
Excellent, a fine game.
And then, like I say, I was playing Black Ops, but then my other game was I started playing a bit of Forza 5, getting ready for Forza 6, because I stopped playing Forza Horizon quite some time ago, and I was just missing that kind of little racing game that I like to do while I listen to podcasts. And I had a few backed up on my iPhone, so I just stuck on Forza 5, because there were still some achievements that I could get, and also at the moment, within the Forza hub, the more cars you get and the more Forza points that you get, the more new cars and more bonus cars you get when Forza 6 comes. So I was just trying to get to the next level. I think I'm now level 8. So I'm getting a whole bevy of cars when Forza 6 comes out. So it was a really good incentive for me to just fire up old Forza games and just try and kind of push my leveling or push those achievements to get more points.
Wow, and just keeping that sort of muscle memory and keeping your eye in ready to kick arse on the next one.
Absolutely, I was getting my braking points and just, getting my corners ready. And do you know what? I mean, like, Forza 5 was a launch title for the Xbox One, and I know it's not a long time ago yet, but it looks fantastic. I forgot how good it looked. Because you kind of take Forza Horizon for granted. You just think this is amazing. But when I went back to Forza 5, which is more kind of racetracks rather than this open, gorgeous vista, and I was racing in a Formula 1 car, an Indy car, so I had no screen, because I always kind of drive in that in-car view. I had no windscreen just kind of dampering my view, and I was a couple of corners, a couple of times where you catch the sun. It was breathtaking, and it was fantastic. So I got super hyped for the 15th of September, which is when Forza 6 comes out.
And all those visuals and everything will be up a gear, if you'll excuse the pun.
Absolutely. Indeed.
But, they will be, won't they?
I kind of want to...
We'll have to get a sound effect, won't we?
Yes.
But I love it when that happens, and it's happened to a lesser degree with me with a few games. Like I mentioned last week, I was playing Rogue Leader again on the GameCube, and that surprised me with how great it looked. And the same happened with Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts as well, the 360 version. As I was going around the world, and I was looking at that intricate stitching in sort of the green hills and stuff, because it's all sort of stitched together in a sort of yarny way, and I was just like, I was being impressed by it, being impressed by past works. It's good that we're not only satisfied with what's coming, and you can still appreciate, and like you with Forza, we can still be blown away with existing works of gaming.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is quite nice. It's quite nice when you, like you say, especially with like a lot of the digital titles that I've kind of bought on Xbox One and PS4, when you do just kind of dip into those older titles, and they still do like blow you away. And I'm exactly the same. When I fired up Rare Replay and played Nuts and Bolts, there's a level, and I created a flying car, that I could just kind of fly away because I needed to get into a volcano, and I kind of flew right up to the top, and you can see the clouds, and they're just being held there by a piece of string, and it's just genius. Nuts and Bolts is such a fantastic game, and like I say, it still looks amazing.
It looks really cool. And it's just so charming. That's nice. And just thinking about past works, I don't know why it popped in my head, but I'm just so sick of waiting for Last Guardian, even though it's been announced now. That I wish that they'd just done a current gen version, a remaster, and this is one remaster I would buy, even though I've already played it, which sort of goes against my little rule, but the exception must prove it. Would be Shadow of the Colossus. I'd absolutely love a current gen remake of that. I'd be fantastic. Even if they just did the bare minimum, I'd still buy it, because I'm a sucker for that.
But I mean, you might want to check out the PlayStation Now, because I know they did it on PlayStation 3.
Yeah, I owned it on PS3. I had that HD remaster.
So you might be able to get it on PlayStation Now, which is available on PS4.
Yeah, maybe I'll check the list actually, because I'd be willing to pay, I reckon, £20 for that game. So if it's on there, and if the subscription to PlayStation Now isn't far from that, which I haven't really looked at it, maybe I'd give it a go, because I do like that game, and I feel like playing it now. I'm talking to you now, and my PS3's in bits on the floor, my fat PS3, because it suffered from a yellow light of death, and it needs reflowing and stuff. And on there, if I could just fix it, I could play Shadow of the Colossus again. It's there, taunting me, a bit like your Gears game.
I'll get that game on Friday. And talking of Gears, so with the gaming season about to start and Microsoft launching Gears of War Ultimate Edition this week, which is really kind of a part of their greatest games lineup ever, in quotes, Darren and I thought it would be great to just kind of have a chat about the top 3 games that we're looking forward to and looking forward to playing for the rest of the year. So the titles that are not out yet, but we're looking forward to grabbing. So we thought we'd just kind of quickly list about 3 each, and just kind of go through those titles. So Darren, what's your first title?
My first title on the list is Rise of the Tomb Raider, and I'm looking forward to this a lot, primarily because of the delay for Uncharted 4 on PlayStation. And I loved the last Tomb Raider remake, the one last year. Was it last year or the year before?
Year before that, it was actually on the Xbox 360, wasn't it? And then it got remastered on the Xbox One.
That's right. Yeah, of course. Yeah, see, I forget that it was on 360 because it was that good. Yeah, I remember because I think I got BioShock, and then the next game was the Tomb Raider game. So I just love these sorts of games, and I kind of like it. And this doesn't really influence me wanting the game, but I kind of like the history here because, first of all, there was Tomb Raider, which was made to sort of give us all a Raiders of the Lost Ark game, but without the license. And then that kind of was fantastic at first and really pushed the limits of PS1. It was amazing. But then the bevy of iterations that came out after it, they sort of hit a decline and it lost its reputation slowly but surely. And then Uncharted gave the fans everything they wanted from what they wanted Tomb Raider to have become and more. On the PS3, or certainly for me. So I loved those games because that was my Tomb Raider. It was like, now, this is my Tomb Raider. And now, it's kind of funny that Tomb Raider's now borrowed back from Uncharted, though Uncharted, in my opinion, hasn't diminished. But now you've got Tomb Raider that's learned a few lessons from Uncharted that copied Tomb Raider originally and comes out fighting and is a fantastic game now and has sort of gone full circle and fully evolved and it's fantastic. And I just love that. I love that sort of full circle, and imitation is the best sort of flattery sort of evolution that we've gone through with that. But yeah, Uncharted 4 is delayed. I'm not going to go for the collection because I've played them all anyway, though it has been a while. So it probably wouldn't be a bad investment for me, to be honest, because I can't remember the whole adventures, and I do know that I fully enjoyed them, but I'll probably skip it because I've got other games to play. So for me, that's going to really fill a gap till February, March, or whatever it is next year when Uncharted 4 comes out. What I've seen of it looks fantastic. The E3 demonstration in the ice and the mountains, it just for me was great. Everything that I wanted out of the game was there. The more recent footage that was shown, I also liked. For me, it wasn't as spectacular, but it showed just sort of how the game's played, and the more stealthy options and stuff. And I just liked it, and I thought this is a game that I'm just going to sit there and enjoy, and I'm not going to have to worry that it's going to take me hundreds of hours, or 30 hours to play through. It's just going to be a nice adventure, and I love all those set pieces. I don't even mind QTEs when they're done right. I don't mind QTEs in God of War either. So Rise of the Tomb Raider is the first game that I'm really looking forward to. So what's first on your list, Anthony?
First up on my list is Halo 5. So I cannot wait for Halo 5. As I was saying earlier, with me, Halo is the complete package. It is that single player. I play co-op with Nicholas, so we kind of always kind of go through that mission together, and it has fantastic multiplayer with Halo 5 really pushing it, where you have that mode where you've got kind of 2 teams, I think of about 12, and AI is in the middle, kind of mixing it up as well. So the stuff that they've been showing, and the fact that we're kind of switching between a Master Chief and a Locke campaign as well, and everything about it just looks stunning. So Halo 5 it's in my calendar. I'm contemplating days off work for Halo 5. It definitely is kind of one of my highlights of this year.
Wow. I remember when Halo 2 came out, and there was a big thing about people sort of taking sickies for it. It's probably been since every Halo since then, but I specifically remember it for Halo 2 because there was a lot of buzz because that was the first one on the 360. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to Halo 5 too. Can't wait for it. It's going to be amazing.
Absolutely. No, it's just going to be fantastic. No, it will do. FIFA 343 know what they're doing. You know, they know what they're doing, and I just think this is going to be just a fantastic Halo campaign.
Yeah, I think they've successfully stopped the doubters with what they've shown so far. The only thing I worry about is where you say the campaign's going to switch, you know, like it's going to. But I didn't like that on Halo 2. Where you became the arbiter and things. I didn't like it.
It's only because you're more interested in that love interest between Cortana and Master Chief.
It probably is something to do that. But I was just
just get back to the good stuff. I want to see them.
They're in the shower now.
so moving swiftly on. What's your second one?
My second one is Fallout 4.
Oh yes.
Yeah, you know, and I will be the first to admit that I've sort of gone dark on this. It's not hard to go dark on it because there's not that much information about it, but I'm purposely not reading any rumours or speculation, particularly about what's contained within the game. I've got my Pip-Boy edition ordered. I know you'll have to make do with your knitted one, Antony, which will probably be far more comfortable than mine, but we'll compare notes when it comes out. But yeah, you know, open world game. Will I have recovered from the open worldness of The Witcher 3, followed by Metal Gear Solid? Let's hope so. I think if anything's going to bring me out of any sort of complacency I've got for that genre, it'll be Fallout 4. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to I'm looking forward to the beginning. The story, because it was so great in Fallout 3, the way that it showed you being born and stuff and opening your eyes, and that was all part of creating your character. I'm hoping we're going to have something similar there. I'm looking forward to hopefully this sort of kind of prologue part. I'm hoping there's going to be a prologue part, and then sort of when you step out of the vault, the way that they do that, and I'm hoping that it has as much impact as it did in Fallout 3 as when you've got enough. They've given you enough characterization there, so you're really sort of involved and invested in the character that when you step out there, you're really feeling as if that's what it would be like. Because I know it did that for me for Fallout 3, and so I'm just hoping that it's going to do that in Fallout 4 as much as I'm expecting it to, taking into account we're on a new generation. So yeah, I just can't wait to roam about the wasteland, finding stuff, crafting stuff,
absolutely,
taking advantage of all the new opportunities that we're going to have.
One of the things, you would probably should say, one of the things that I'm doing, because I'm similar to you, I'm kind of staying dark about it. I don't want to, and obviously when we get closer and closer to that 10th of November release date, there's going to be more and more, when the reviews lift and embargoes are shifted. But for me, I'm trying to keep my expectation low. Do you know what I mean? You're sitting there like going, right, wow me. For me, I'm just like, I want to get into this. But I guess for you, that Metal Gear Solid is going to be a really good palate kind of cleanser between the two, I guess.
I suppose so, but it's still open world, isn't it? So I don't know. Maybe I'll be like sort of washed out from open world games, but I suppose it's going to be such diverse worlds that I'm hoping that I won't. And I suppose I'm definitely getting Fallout because I pre-ordered it. But if it did come to it, and for some reason I just wasn't in the mood for it at the time, I've got Tomb Raider that comes out on 13th of November anyway. But I think I'll be okay. And I've got trust in Bethesda. I've enjoyed pretty much all the games that I've played by Bethesda. So, yeah, I think I'll be fine. I loved Oblivion and Skyrim and last Fallout. It's going to be good.
Yeah, that's going to be fantastic. I think I think it's kind of almost a given. I think everyone's still surprised that it's coming out this year, because they had such, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, where they have such a small from announcement to release timeline. It's just everyone's just kind of. I don't think people will believe it until they're booting it up on their consoles or PC.
I think it shows confidence in their ability, confidence in the product, and. Yeah, and I think it's the way it should be done. I think we talked about this before. You get fed up of wait. It's like, don't announce things now that are going to come out in 3, 4, 5 years. Sony, just give us some stuff that's imminent. Just keep it under wraps. Be developing it. Know that it's great, but just let us know. Let us know a little bit closer to the time. I'll never forget the times when I suppose the internet wasn't as rife back then, but I found out that Kingdom Hearts was released, and it was a surprise because I wasn't ready for it. And I was so amazed. I think I've told this story before, but I basically got home, went on to Teletext and read my little Game Central teletext page about games, and it had the release dates, and it said Kingdom Hearts, and it said whatever it was, which was that Friday. I was like, hold on, that's today, isn't it? Rang up game, and it was there, and I legged it there, got it, took it home, and I was playing it, and it was such a great feeling to be surprised. And that, I think that's a little bit of a failing of the internet age. Yes, we're all very primed and we've got a lot more information about everything, but sometimes we've got too much information, and I miss getting surprised by a fantastic blockbuster game. That was good. But then it could have just been that I wasn't, at that time I wasn't reading everything to do with it, as I am now. But it was just nice to be surprised, and it was nice that things were just more imminent back then, and it seems to have stretched the longer time's gone on.
Absolutely, and it's the same with films as well now. You always get that, because the timeline is normally you get an announcement, or there's some news, and then there's an announcement, then there's the first screen, then there's a preview, and this is kind of spanning years, and it just, but you are just kind of excited. I know for me, I get very excited about those kind of things. Shocker. But, I and you're just like, I want this now, but they are just teasing you with one screenshot from a game or a movie that is years out. Is absolutely years out. Yeah. So my next one is Uncharted Collection. You mentioned it earlier when we were talking about Lara Croft, which I can't wait to play as well. But I'm going to be before that, because that comes out in November and Uncharted comes out in October. So before that, I'm going to be playing all three Uncharted games. So I think for the PS4, anyone who has a PS4 hasn't played Uncharted, this is just an awesome game. I want to right the wrongs. That is, I have never finished an Uncharted game. I've played a bit of 1, played a bit of 3, but actually I don't think I've played 3. I've played a bit of 2, but I haven't played 3, and I want to right those wrongs. After what I saw at Gamescom from Uncharted 4, I want to be fully up to speed on Sully and Nathan Drake and their adventures for when this comes out, because it looks fantastic. And I've seen a few articles on different websites as well over the last couple of weeks where they're showing the differences between the PS3 and PS4. In some cases, I think in Uncharted 3, it's not that much difference, because it was really pushing the PlayStation 4 quite hard. But it does look different, and it does look cleaner and crisper, and the 60 frames really kind of moves it on. So I'm looking forward to just sitting down. I'm going to play it on normal, so it's not an incredible kind of task. It's more of just kind of enjoying these 7-hour kind of blockbuster games, and just going to sit through and just play all three of them. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and it's a great choice, of game to pick, because it's such good value. You're getting all three games. If you haven't played them before, it makes me wish that I'd never played them before. But I'm astounded that you never finished them when you started them, because I've always been as excited about each Uncharted game. I know some people say I think that 2 wasn't very good or something, but I've liked them all anyway. I've loved them all, in fact. And I got excited about each one as sort of I did at that E3 recent E3 trailer or demo for Uncharted 4. So what was it? Did you just get distracted by another game, or did you not find? Because some people just don't get on with Uncharted. Was it just that it didn't float your boat at that time?
No, I think it was just I got distracted by other stuff on Xbox. I think because what happened is that I'm playing on PS3, and I have more friends that are over on the Xbox. So I'm playing on PS3, you get a text or a telephone call and say, we're just about to have a game of this, or this game comes out and I'm playing co-op with someone. And I just think I just got distracted away from the PS3 over onto the Xbox 360. And then the next time I came back to the PS3 was probably when Ratchet and Clank game came out or something like that. So I then played that completely new, and then I remembered I had Uncharted because I'm injecting the game. I think I bought Uncharted 1, but I had Uncharted 2 on PS Plus, and I even played Uncharted 2 because they had a 3D option where you could play through the game in 3D, and I'm one of those people that enjoy gaming in 3D. So I sat there and was playing through the opening levels where you're in London. I'm sure that's either 2 or 3, and I was playing those in 3D on my TV, and I was like 3D glasses on, headphones on. I looked a Burke, but it was just good fun, and I think again I just got distracted by maybe Halo or Gears or something like that, and then it's just a case of I've got to play through it again, and then just kind of went on. I mean, I played the Golden Abyss, which is on the PS Vita, I played and finished that and really enjoyed it. That was a really good game.
Oh, wow. So that was that predominantly because you were on the train?
Yeah, it was. It was just because it was my Vita. It was, I remember playing it at a Eurogamer show, and that was really one to show off your Vita. It looked stunning. It had, they were back touch features, and you're rubbing the front, and you're doing brass rubbings and stuff, and it really was using all of the features of your Vita, and it looked fantastic. So I just really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed the entire experience. So that's why Uncharted is here in one of the 3 games that I'm looking forward to, because I enjoyed that so much and have had fun, and I really just want to sit down and focus on those.
Cool. Just as an aside then, how's your God of War experience? Did you get into those, or did you sort of not really get to know Kratos?
No, shamefully no. I remember you telling me about one of them, and I think I might have played the first one. I think you told me about the first one and said, you got to play this, it's amazing, and I think I played that.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
And that's it.
And there was a remaster of that recently, wasn't there? Yeah.
But then I kind of looked at that and thinking, hold up a second, that's kind of, it was like God of War 3, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
So it was like, how can I jump into 3 without knowing 1 and 2? And I know they brought out one on the Vita, but I just didn't like the idea of that much button bashing on the train.
Yeah, and they brought them out, 1 and 2 were accessible from the PS3 as well. I think they did an HD bundle, which I had because I love them that much. But yeah, I just thought, because it sounded quite similar, because that's just, it just made me think if that happened with Uncharted, it would probably happen with God of War, because I was all over those games. So that's interesting that you were Xboxing away, but there must have been at that time nothing that floated my boat on the 360. And I always did enjoy a good exclusive on the PS3. That was the only time I used to go on my PS3, was when there was an exclusive out, actually. And I remember just having to adjust to the pad and thinking, oh, this doesn't feel like home.
No, absolutely. I always felt like, and I don't feel like it on the PS4, but I always felt like when I was playing on the PS3 that I was there was a party going on in the next room, which was the Xbox 360, and I'm just kind of in a room on my own, and it felt very kind of like a solitude. I felt very, very kind of alone when I was playing on the PS3.
Isolated away from everybody else.
Absolutely, it was a really bizarre, but I'm not getting that on the PS4, and I'm really enjoying kind of when I'm playing that, so much so that our next one, and it was quite funny how when Darren and I were putting this list together, and it's probably, any regular listener to this podcast will probably know what our last choice is. So, I mean, Darren and I, we both chose the same game as our kind of third game for this year that we can't wait to play, and I'll let you tell them what it is, Darren.
It's Animal Crossing 2. Return to Tom Nook's house.
Make your house pretty edition.
Yeah. No, of course it didn't. It's Star Wars Battlefront. Hooray!
I can't wait to play that game. I want that now. It's so funny. I was in Tunbridge Wells today. We had in the main centre of Tunbridge Wells. Last week they had Doctor Who, and this week they had Star Wars. So I was walking through the centre, and there was Darth Vader, Chewbacca, R2-D2, a couple of stormtroopers, like people dressed up, and kids just going crazy, which I love to see. That there was like the queues were like me, 6 foot, and then there were some kids, and it was really cool. It was really good to see it, and it just looked fantastic, and that kind of got my Star Wars excitement. And then I popped into Game, and they had all of the Disney Infinity figures, the first wave that we're getting this week, and they had those out already as well, and I was very excited. So by the time I met my wife for lunch, I was in a Star Wars hype bubble.
Wow, I'm all shaking, excited.
God, I just want to go home and watch Empire.
Get me to the bank. Get me to the bank. I'm getting some stuff.
So it was just very cool. So yeah, I can't wait to play, and that's something that I've already pre-ordered, and I'm going to be playing that on the PS4.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic! So you're going PS4. Brilliant. So we'll be able to hook up and play together. Hooray. That's really cool.
We will do indeed. Yeah, I mean, we'll probably announce kind of like once it's out when we're playing. So if anybody wants to join us, you'll be able to join us as well. So it's just like, it'd be really good to just get kind of a whole group of people together and just have a real laugh and a real play on Star Wars.
Yeah, and all doing some good communication as well. It's fantastic. I've never played a Battlefront game. So I'm looking forward to it. but I'll be a bit of a newbie.
Indeed. I mean, I just can't wait to jump in crafts and fly around in TIE fighters or X-Wings. And it's just, for me, as a Star Wars fanboy that I am, this year we've got Force Awakens. There's, as I was saying last week, there's comic books aplenty. There's new books coming out. We've got Disney Infinity this week. And there's just so much, and we've got Battlefront, and it just really is it's going to, the next half of this year or the next quarter of this year really just does belong to Star Wars.
Yeah. I was discussing Star Wars Battlefront with somebody the other day, and I'm that excited about it that if it was the only game this year, I'd be happy, pretty much as long as it came out at the beginning of the year, and I'd probably pay the money for it, even if it was like one level, because it looks that good. Because when they announced it, everyone was questioning if it was genuine, because it looked that amazing. Do you remember when the first reveal on Endor? And I was just like shocked. And he said in-engine footage, which doesn't exactly mean that it's playable footage, but it's done in engine. And anyway, everything we've seen since then just looks so fantastic. And being a kid and growing up with Star Wars, and also growing up through the 8-bit era, and watching the evolution of games and playing the old Star Wars games, which don't hold up well. It's just a dream come true to see this. I mean, the kids are lucky anyway, because they can just go and watch like the latest Star Wars, and then they'll just play these games that are pretty much exactly the same. And that's amazing. But the appreciation that it gives to us older gamers, I think, is a good thing too. And yeah, it also means that I'm an easy target, because, as I say, if it was one level and they said this was the best we could do because it took so much of the resource that we wanted to make it as real as possible, but we could only have the one Hoth level or the one Battle of Endor level or whatever it was. I think, because like you, I love my visuals. I'm a bit of a graphics tart, and if it looked the same, I kind of wouldn't care, because it's Star Wars and because of my upbringing and my love of Star Wars. I'd just get it. And the fact that it's going to be more than that, and it's EA, and they're going to probably add on some DLCs and stuff that people might get annoyed about. But for me, I suppose there's the inevitable Space Battles DLC that we'll have to stump up for. But if it's good enough, it'll be one of the rare DLCs that I buy. And
I will make you buy that season pass, sir, if it's good
enough.
Yeah,
well, I'll be on board, because I sort of can't help myself. It's dead bad. Is it like that my principles are going out the window? I don't know. But I suppose we'll judge when it comes out. But I'm really praying that, and I'm hoping, and I believe, but then I believed that Phantom Menace was going to be good before that came out. But I believe that it's going to be the entity that is released. I'm believing that that's going to be a fully rounded game for the money that you pay. And I really hope that I'm not disappointed in that expectation.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I got hands-on at Gamescom and played the Tatooine level, which I really enjoyed. It was really good. The controls seemed very nice, and I was playing on a PlayStation 4 controller, which is, a little bit alien for first-person shoot-em-ups for me, because I'm used to that chunky Xbox One. But I was instantly kind of comfortable, and I got used to it after a while, and I was playing that mode where it was almost like Horde mode, and I was just really enjoying that. And I can just think of kind of the hours that we'll be spending kind of just doing that mode with a group of people. And to me, it's just like, this is going to be such a social game, and it looked fantastic. And the great thing is, we're going to Eurogamer in less than a month's time, and it's hands-on there, so we get to have a play, a good couple of months before it comes out. So, you can see just kind of how good this title is, and how much hype we'll have for it will explode by the 19th of November. Yeah,
you're being quite reserved considering you've actually played it as well. I mean, it's like after we've both played it, we're just going to be like, oh man, how can we even convey this? Get it! You've just got to get it. It's amazing.
Absolutely, I would say to anyone, if there's one game that you're going to get this year, then that is definitely kind of, it has to sit high on the list, because, looking at everything, Halo looks great, Forza looks great, they all look fantastic, but nothing, I guess, for us, is really kind of just hitting that mark like the Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah, there's only one game here, and that is Star Wars Battlefront. It's like anybody that's into Star Wars is going to buy Star Wars Battlefront. I think they've made it that polished. It looks that good. They've got the money behind it to market it. That everybody's heard about it. And my little article and my dilemma about Mad Max and Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid wins. It's a bit like paper, stone, scissors. If you stuck Star Wars Battlefront on September the 1st and I could only pick one, it would be Star Wars. I can't even think of another. If you put Final Fantasy VII Remake next to it, then maybe I'd have to have a think about it. But I don't know. I don't know, man. Star Wars is going to be the best game. The only choice for the discerning gamer of today.
Absolutely. So, right, before we close off this section, is there kind of any honourable mentions that you want to kind of give to any game that didn't really make that top 3, but kind of you're looking forward to anyway?
Yeah, for me, the one that didn't make the cut, and it nearly did, you see, and I will say that when I gathered my thoughts for this list, I was sort of echoing your thoughts quite a lot, and I had to sort of think of some others that were just as good, but I was glad to do that because it made me think sort of outside of the box a little bit. But I actually had my first game in place of Rise of the Tomb Raider, this was, but I took it out because I thought it's not quite the same as an adventure game, you know. I thought, so anyway, yeah, my honourable mention goes to Rock Band 4 stroke Guitar Hero Live. Because I just think...
Is that the full title of the game? Or
yeah, it's Rock Band 4 stroke Guitar Hero Live. No, that's the two games because I think, you know, they're both very similar. Rock Band comes out on 6th of October and Guitar Hero Live comes out on the 23rd of October. And I got a bit annoyed and bored of the amount of releases they made back in the day when they saturated the market with it, but I was a big fan and very loyal player of these games, and I had them both and I loved them both a lot. I did put them away, you know, I put my plastic instruments under the bed, sadly, a long time ago, and I sort of had enough, and just seeing all the sort of shovelware titles that were appearing in the shops compounded my annoyance with the franchise at that time. But I'm ready now, you know, we've discussed this before, I think we're both totally ready to revisit the plastic instrument genre and get rocking and jamming. And yeah, so I'm really, really, really looking forward to these music games that are coming out, Rock Band 4 and Guitar Hero. Yeah, bring it on. Yeah, I was thinking, would I pick that over, say, Tomb Raider or something? And if I had another adventure game going on at the time, then yes, I would. You know, I'd replace one of the ones from my top 3, depending, you know, where I was in it, or how if I was like completely satisfied, for instance, with say Fallout 4, then I could replace not Battlefront, but I could maybe replace Rise of Tomb Raider with one of these guitar games, singing games, if you like. So that's my honourable mention. What about yourself?
Mine has to go to Transformers Devastation, because
good choice.
That game just looks amazing. You know, it just looks, you know, when we saw it at, I think it was just before E3, wasn't it, that it got leaked, the screenshot was leaked or published, and it just looks like the 80s cartoon, and which I absolutely love to death. And, you know, I don't, at this point, I am purely going on aesthetics and the developer who's behind it. So I'm trusting the developer that they'll make a good game, you know, that there will be some really good combos in there, and it just looks fantastic. So, you know, it didn't quite make it. There are other games I'm also looking forward to, but definitely Transformers Devastation for me, a bit of a worry because it does actually come out on the same day as Uncharted. And I've pre-ordered Transformers on Xbox One, so I'm just I'm back to that same cycle that I was with the other Uncharted.
I was just going to say
start
that.
Playing, and then something takes
exactly
it,
the same thing is going to happen. I mean, you're not going to bother with Uncharted Collection when you're going to play an actual current gen demon game from Platinum Games that's going to have like Bayonetta type playability put into an 80s, sort of a real life gaming version of the 80s cartoon of Transformers. There's not a sniff.
No, all I can say is that I'm just going to sleep less in October, November, and December. And do you know what? I just love our hobby so much that all of those games that we've been talking about for like the last half an hour are just amazing, and we're getting all of those in 1 year.
Yeah.
And I just think that is just absolutely outstanding. And so with that, we should get into the news section. So we've got some news, and in this week's news, we have even more games. We've got more games than a Microsoft conference. So we'll start talking about this, all of the awesome new games that are coming out in the new game season. And the first piece of news, even though we're talking about games, the first piece of news is about the original Xbox and backwards compatibility. So, quite interestingly, again, our mate Phil Spencer, on his Twitter account, somebody tweeted to him last week saying, silly question, but is the original Xbox going to make it to backward compatibility on Xbox One? And he just replied, I don't think it's silly. Is that actually, I've been asking the backward compatibility team this question a lot. We need to finish the Xbox 360 backwards compatibility first, but it's not off the table. So I was just blown away by that. I just thought, wow, there's no stopping Phil. He's got 360 games on Xbox, and now he wants the original Xbox games as well.
Wow. So if that was to come to fruition, what game would you want them to make backwards compatible?
Ghost Recon.
Ah, yeah, that's a good choice.
Ghost Recon and Blinks the cat.
Of course.
I've already got Grabbed by the Ghoulies, which I'm really enjoying on Rare Replay. So it would because I don't need Halo because I've got that in the Master Chief Collection and it looks even better now.
Yeah.
But Ghost Recon, I would love Ghost Recon. And was there a Metropolis Street Racer on Xbox One?
No, MSR came out on the Dreamcast. So on the original Xbox, we had Project Gotham.
It
was the first one, Project Gotham Racing. Yeah. So that's
racing around New York, going around Times Square, going around Central Park. Awesome.
Yeah, cool. And maybe Onimusha or Ninja Gaiden.
Yes, Jade Empire.
Oh yeah. Wow, Jade Empire. I forgot about that. Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, they probably all look terrible, but but actually, saying that, I know one of the guys on my Twitter feed, he had a spate at one point of just buying loads of Xbox One games, and there was one point where you kind of showed a picture of his delivery guy, the postman had just put where he'd just been buying them on eBay. There were just so many packages had just come through his door, and I was quite jealous. I was thinking, I wouldn't mind kind of getting my original Xbox out and doing exactly the same. So no, absolutely. I almost did at one point, but yeah. So I think this could be quite cool. I think I still have a whole load of games. I think my problem could potentially be all of my Xbox One games, or my original Xbox games are American. Because I bought a NTSC Xbox because it came out before.
Hey,
I think
man
the
after
UK
my own heart.
one.
That's what I used to do too.
So my brother who lives in Canada, he sent over a GameCube and an Xbox for me.
Wow!
Shipped both of those over because I was desperate and annoying him on the phone.
Yeah, but you did. If you're anything like me, you did pay the price literally as time went on because we had to stump up for imported games.
Yeah, at that point there was a company called DVD Box Office.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And they were in Canada, and they always used to send in those brown envelopes, so you didn't get any. There was no customs charges. But I'll say that now. I'll get a big bill from Her Majesty's government. But it was so it was just fantastic, and I used to just get them all from there, and it was just it was always good fun. But it was hard if you forgot about a game or something kind of crept up on you. You did have to wait. I think almost 2 weeks for it to be delivered.
Yeah, I remember waiting and paying for a few consoles, my American N64. Ocarina of Time cost me absolute fortune to get imported for that, but it was before it came out here. And then, what was the other thing I got? My GameCube was American as well. So I didn't get an original Xbox as an import, but my GameCube as well. And I remember being really happy when I was on holiday in Florida because I actually buy games from the shops, and that's where I bought my first copy of Animal Crossing from, which was good. Do you remember the GameCube, the Panasonic Q? Do you remember that?
I do, yes. Yeah, that was kind of like a silvery thing, wasn't it?
Silvery thing, and it played GameCube games. And it did some other stuff too, and it's hyper rare. But yeah, I never saw one, but I just read about it. But that is cool. Original Xbox games coming to Xbox One. It just offers more to the player, doesn't it? And the thing I like about it, because I haven't really got many Xbox One games, like Splinter Cell, probably lying around somewhere. But it's the fact that if they do it in the same way as they're doing it at the moment, where you can sort of, if you've had them, say if you bought them, I don't know if you bought them digitally back then now, I don't think you did really, but if they just released them as a download, and it was a few quid, and you could just play the original Splinter Cell and things like that, or Project Gotham Racing, etc. And if it was priced realistically, then they could make quite a bit of money from games that really they wouldn't be making any money off otherwise. So, it's not a bad idea to just add it in, because at the price point that they could be, say £5 a game or something like that, it's the kind of thing you'd have a punt if you're bored on a Friday or whatever. You've had a beer, you think, you remember that game? You just go through the list, you go, well, for that price, I'll give it a go, and it's worth it just for the nostalgia, isn't it?
Absolutely. If they pull this off, if they do actually do it, I'll be raiding boot fairs to try and find decent copies of some games. But, I just think, are Sony going to retaliate? Is it worth their while, or will they just see that they're copying the competition and they're just kind of letting Xbox and Microsoft just have this one, and they're not going to do anything?
We'll see at one of the conferences coming up, because surely, if they're going to retaliate, they'll do it at one of these events before Christmas. And what can they do realistically? They can make PlayStation Now much more competitive, i.e. free.
Yeah, free for PS Plus.
Wow, yeah, because they're on about putting PS Plus up anyway. Well, they've put the monthly and the quarterly prices up. I don't know whether, like we sort of decided that was just to make people do the yearly one, so that they know where their figures are, because it's better. But I wouldn't be averse to paying an extra few quid if they said, if the sweetener was PlayStation Now thrown in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be a real win for Sony.
It'd be a coup. So we'll just see what happens, won't we? We'll just see what happens. So the next piece of news that I've got is there's been a list given out from Harmonix that shows all the compatible instruments for Rock Band 4. So if you've got some old plastic instruments lying around, you can dust them off if they conform to the list that's been handed out from Harmonix. So we'll add this as a link to the bottom of the podcast. I won't go through it all now, but it's looking like quite a lot of the old stuff is going to work with Rock Band 4. So that's just really cool news, and it gives them an edge on Guitar Hero Live, where they've changed the controller style, and it's sort of a flat, nothing else works. None of it's not backwards compatible with the instruments, and I think this could give Rock Band 4 the edge, personally, because people spent a lot of money on these plastic instruments. I know I did. I bought guitars and things for 80 quid, 100 quid. I bought the Rock Band pack at the time, which was like, I can't remember, it was an extortionate amount of money. About £150, I think it was, when it first came out, with the guitar and the drum.
Yeah, the band edition, wasn't it? Yeah, I remember having walking through Tunbridge Wells with that kind of one Friday morning.
Wow, did you feel like a roadie?
I really did. I just picked it up from Game or something like that, and yeah, though absolutely, I think it was about £150.
Yeah, but basically, it looks like pretty much everything's compatible. But I'll put the link to the chart at the bottom of the podcast, and also, while we're on the subject of Rock Band 4, there's an interesting little piece of news that it's going to be more expensive on the Xbox One than the PS4. And the reason for that, well, first of all, the price. I've only got it in dollars, but rest assured, UK guys, I'm sure that it'll only be converted to the same, but with a pound sign in front of it. So the standalone game costs $60, and the Xbox One version is going to be $80. Okay, now, according to GameSpot, the price difference is because the Xbox One version is going to require a legacy game controller adapter, and that will allow players to use their existing Xbox 360 instruments, whereas the PS4, they'll just work, they'll just plug in. So that's interesting. Now,
that's really. I mean, you can buy Rock Band 4 standalone. You don't have to buy that legacy edition, so you'll probably just get it at the same price. But it is just like that $20, $20 dongle that you need to buy if you want to use, like me, my Beatles Rock Band Rickenbacker.
Yeah. Oh wow, yeah, you've got one of those too. Cool. I told you I got mine for £1, didn't I?
You did. Yeah. That's
that was a good deal.
But yeah, so it's an interesting one that obviously they couldn't get it working on Xbox One, but there was obviously a different communication method for the PlayStation 3 and 4.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember how it plugged into the Xbox 360, how the instruments plugged in. Well, they were just USB. It was
but
just
it didn't.
USB,
The Rickenbacker was wireless.
Oh yeah, that was wireless. I'm thinking of the old wired ones then, but they
went wireless way before that, didn't they?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The wired one, really the only wired instrument in the list, it's not really is the microphone, to be honest. So
right.
Yeah, I was just getting at the way it plugged in, but I think they were all USB when they did plug in. But yeah, I wonder as well if this legacy game controller adapter works for these instruments. Is that a way that would allow you to use your Xbox 360 controllers? Because surely it'd be the same principle. Yeah. And if it doesn't allow you to, then it's a bit sort of I'm trying to be nice here, but it's kind of a bit of taking the mickey, saying, all right, we'll configure it only so you can use these things. It obviously would have the capability to allow you to use any of your legacy 360 wireless controllers, wouldn't it? Because of what it's doing, the sort of conversion that it's doing. So it'd be nice to think that it's like, hey guys, it'll also do this, and you might get people just buying the adapter for that as well, because the controllers are expensive, and if you've got 2 or 3 360 ones lying around, they're good controllers. It'd be nice to use them.
Absolutely. No, that's quite an interesting point. Maybe no one's thought about that yet.
Well, there you go. You heard it first on Gamers of the Lost Spark podcast. Did you like that point, didn't you, Anthony? I could tell.
I did. That's really interesting. That's I did. Especially if you've got kind of like a game that's got like 4 people. You're playing maybe a 4-player couch co-op game on Xbox One, and you've got that dongle, couple of Xbox 360 controllers laying around. Bada bing.
Yeah, because you might not want to go out and. Because for me, for instance, it's quite the rare occasion when I'd have 4-player co-op going on in the house. But if I had that dongle, then that could be achievable. But I wouldn't want to go out and spend, 80 quid or whatever it is on the 2 controllers just for very, very, like once a year sort of time. So it's interesting, and it'll just be interesting to see if that did work. But if it doesn't work, which I'm sure it probably won't, it's a shame, because I'm sure it would be very simple to make it work.
Absolutely. And so next up, we have some news from Nintendo. As much as you and I, we both love Nintendo, way too much. But we do have a fondness for Nintendo. We don't speak much about them in the news section on this show. So we do have some releases from Nintendo. So they've almost just kind of done a kind of information dump this week on some releases for the rest of the year. So it kind of feels to me as if the stuff that Nintendo announced this week would have probably been in a Nintendo Direct broadcast, but I think from the obviously the death of Iwata, I think they're still kind of paying respects to that giant, and they're having a bit of a hiatus on their broadcasts. But so what we have this week is we have a release date for Star Fox, Mario Tennis, and some other titles as well. So Star Fox and Mario Tennis will both be launched on the Wii U on the 20th of November. So they're both coming out 20th November. These are European dates. I think it's the same for the US and the rest of the world. So these are coming out on the 20th of November. Now, obviously, the interesting thing about the 20th of November is, Mr. Darren?
That's when Star Wars is out.
Day after Star Wars. Absolutely. So it's... that's a bit of an interesting day. If I looked at the calendar, I went, okay, when are we going to release our games? November the 20th would not have been that day. I would have very interesting to release in the same week as this titan of a title, which is Star Wars Battlefront. We've also there's also some more news where we've got Xenoblade Chronicles X is coming out on the 4th of December. And one that you'll love, Darren, Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival is still coming.
It's still coming
this year.
Thank goodness for that.
It's still coming. Don't worry. It's still coming this year, but it hasn't got a date. But they're saying it's still coming this year. And also they announced there's a whole host of Amiibo figures that are also coming out as well. One of them, which caught my eye this week, which was a giant Yoshi amiibo. So I've already got the one from the Woolly World, which is awesome, but this one was a stand-up three times as big as the Yoshi amiibo for Woolly World, and it looked amazing. I tweeted Chessman UK on my thing. I tweeted out straight. I was like, "Look at this! This is just a bundle of gorgeousness." And I tweeted to my mate James, and who was instantly kind of in love with it as well at the same time. And it just looked fantastic. So there's some amiibo coming out as well, and some games coming out, but. I don't know about you. I mean, I think out of all of the announcements that were there, I think potentially Mario Tennis could potentially be I might be buying, but I think that's about it.
Yeah. I mean, I was a big fan of Star Fox for ages. I really loved it. Star Fox Adventures we talked about in a recent podcast, and I'd sort of, even though I didn't think it was the best game ever, I enjoyed it. But the original Star Fox sort of was good enough that I still sort of wish that this Star Fox was better than it looks, and that's really the closest they've got to a big release this Christmas, because Zelda's been put back to next year. So it's interesting, and the thing with the release date again, it's sort of just completely confusing. I mean, it's even doubly so with Nintendo. You're never gonna be able to predict Nintendo. But I was thinking the only thing that I could come up with as sort of a crumb of logic here was that they don't care about the other platforms, and they think that their guys probably don't have other platforms to think about. They're wrong, because me and you both have Wii U's with everything else, and that their fan base, their loyal console guys, wouldn't have another console, and so if they wanted a space game, they'd buy Star Fox, and Battlefront wouldn't impede that. But it's a tenuous theory, point, really.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to the. The Mega Yarn Yoshi amiibo.
That just looks so good.
It's going to be £30 if you can get one, isn't it?
Yes, I mean it's quite interesting because the Yoshi amiibos that are out now, they're going for some big money on eBay at the moment. Because you can't walk into a store and buy those. So they're going for more than that. They're going for like £40-50 just for the amiibo itself, without even the game. Which is quite interesting, but that big one just looked adorable, and I
want it too, because I haven't got any amiibos, because all the ones I want they haven't got by the time I haven't been diligent enough to sort of pre-order it. I sort of like, I'll just get one when I see one, but that didn't work. I wanted to get a Rosalina, and that went out of the window. But this I wouldn't mind. But I don't know. I still do like it, though. I think you should get one.
Cool. Okay, I'll do that.
Oh, cheers, mate. And then send it to me.
Awesome. I'll do it.
I'll even give you the money for it. It's just the getting of one. It's just the acquisition of it. People will be paying people to get amiibos for them soon, because it's just such a pain in the arse to try and get one.
Yeah, hopefully Nintendo will fix that. I think if they're going to, if they're going to put a lot of money and NX games could potentially be amiibo based. If they're going to continue that onto a next gen, then they have already apologised and addressed that. So maybe they will start making them, less gold dust and sought after things, and just more of a. I mean, because like I say, I went into game today, was salivating at all of the Disney Infinity figures, and behind me there was a whole shelf, a whole rack of amiibo. So there's definitely ones out there. I think it's just those little kind of niche, little kind of fun ones that people are just having problems getting hold of.
Oh, that's good then. That's really good to hear, because I think that Nintendo do love their manufactured scarcity, and I never noticed it until the Wii was released, and I believe that it was on purpose that they either under-manufactured or held back Wii's, because they learned that the scarcity made the demand go through the roof. And so it just feels that it's like, yeah, well, that works. Let's just do it with amiibos. And, the prices on eBay, etc., alone a testament to this, that it does work. Even game, they add an extra £3 or £4 onto what should be the RRP, just because they're amiibo and they're hard to get hold of. And I think that's really just wrong, personally. So I won't buy an amiibo from game, because they add a premium on from what it would be if you bought it from Nintendo themselves. Don't think it's right.
Absolutely. No, indeed. I totally agree, but, like I say, they're even crossing over now, aren't they? They're even crossing over to things like Skylanders as well, so, they can't. I know kind of all of the latest fads always drive parents crazy because they end up kind of, rushing around to different stores and camping out, waiting for releases and things like that. But, they really do need to... These things should just be done because the thing's popular, not because a manufacturer's holding them back in a room to ramp up the prices.
It's like you shouldn't sort of try and garner popularity with scarcity. You should let the public just decide without sort of manufacturing this crazy wanting from people. My nephew's never really got into any of these Toys to Life things, actually, so that's interesting. I don't remember them ever being into Skylanders, and they haven't mentioned Amiibos. So that's interesting, but I know that many people are. So there we go. The next piece of news that I've got is that we're recording this today on the 26th of August, as Anthony told us at the top of the show, and today is the day that YouTube Gaming goes live. So YouTube Gaming is YouTube's version, or competitor, if you like, to Twitch. YouTube's obviously massive, and so's Twitch now, but I think they think, well, Twitch has been so successful, we wouldn't mind a slice of that. Now, obviously, people can upload their videos to YouTube, and it's very popular for Let's Plays and what have you, but this is actually a streaming service for game-related videos. There's also going to be a companion app that's going to come later, but it's going to operate very similarly to Twitch. So you go on and you can watch, thousands of different videos of games being played. Easily search them by title or streamer name. But one feature that YouTube are going to have that's may give them the edge that Twitch doesn't is it's going to have a DVR mode. So it's going to have a buffer that's going to capture the last 4 hours of a live stream, and so you'll be able to rewind it if you missed a bit, which gives you the freedom to, go and get a drink or whatever you may need to do and not miss the action. So that's pretty cool. Google have got the cash to make it great. So it'll be interesting. Will the loyal Twitch streamers, will they jump ship to YouTube? Will they use both? Will YouTube make the monetization of their streams more attractive? They're questions that it'll be interesting to see the answers to as time goes by, but that's up and live as of today.
Wow. Is there any console that is pairing with YouTube Gaming? Because I know Twitch, you can just, from within the Xbox, you can just post to Twitch and start streaming.
I'm PS4 does the same, but...
And with PS4, so is YouTube Gaming doing any
I haven't
of
read
that?
anything of that. I haven't seen anything of that, but I know that we do have the YouTube app within these consoles. So maybe they're going to adjust the app so that you just, within the app, you can go to a subsection of YouTube Gaming. I'm not sure, though. That's just complete sort of shot in the dark from myself, but no, I haven't read anything about the consoles pairing with it.
Yeah, maybe that at the moment you need a capture card or something like that plugged into your console via a PC, and then you stream it that way. But that's really interesting, and it's interesting that YouTube are obviously taking Twitch that seriously. That they want to do their own one.
Well, yeah, I mean it's turned into a multi-million-pound organisation, hasn't it? Massive industry. And the streamers, it's massive. It's massive with the younger generation. They love it. I mean, and especially because it probably gives them access to just... There's some games that are probably more worth watching than playing, and I think The Order 1886 is a good example of that. I wish I'd just watched it rather than... But it's for me, I could never just do that. But it seems the kids today, they're just really happy just to watch a game.
Yeah.
But I'm being a proper gamer, if you like, or whatever, or an old gamer. It's like, I have to play. Do you know what I mean? I have to be in control of it rather than watching it. If I was watching you, I'd be happy for a while, but then I'd be like, give me the pad out, it's my turn now, sort of thing. But it's like a new thing that people just enjoy watching games. I mean, I'm quite lucky with Claire because she watches me play and she finds it interesting, but she's got no desire to play. And yeah, so you've also got this fan base that don't have a desire to play but enjoy watching these games that I suppose are like they're like movies, aren't they, with the stories that they tell, some of them. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I've never understood that, that kind of concept, because even when I'm watching kind of very, entertaining personalities like Greg Miller or someone like that kind of Twitch stream a game, he's quite funny, he's kind of quipping as he's playing it, people are commenting, he's reading the comments. But for me, those things, I'll kind of dip in, have a quick look at the game, go, actually, do you know what? Yep, I'm going to buy that, or no, I'm not going to bother. And then I will come out because either A, I don't want it spoiled, or B, exactly the same as what you're saying, it's not. It doesn't grab me for a long time. If I want that game, then I want to. That's it. I'll go off and buy that game. I won't want to sit there and just watch someone kind of get through a level. So it is quite interesting.
Yeah, I mean, guys will sit and watch a stream of like hours and hours and hours. They'll watch. Probably not a great example, but something like Oblivion. They'll just watch it. And someone can go, right, we're going to play this for an hour, or we're going to do a marathon. And these big streamers, they get the audience. The audience are happy and they're commenting and chatting. I think it's kind of a social experience as well. But I quite like it. It's like because I used to love it when we were all together playing games in a room, which as we've all got older and moved apart doesn't happen so much. But thank goodness we've got Xbox Live and PlayStation Network to sort of simulate that, and we still, when we don't have to chop the screen into 2 or 4 as well, which is always a bonus. But it makes me think that they're all they're all in this massive lounge that can hold 1,000 people or whatever, and I think it's really cool. I'm the same as you. I can't see myself watching one in its entirety, but since the advent of lack of demos and information of a game that could appear on these current gen consoles, I use it mainly as that, if there's not even a trailer sometimes. So I'll say, oh, what's this new indie game? No information apart from the text description. Well, let's have a quick pop on and have a look what it's like by using Twitch or the upload service.
Absolutely. I would think, for me, I think one of the games that I have kind of sat and just kind of watched for a bit on Twitch was Minecraft. So seeing people kind of build in Minecraft and seeing kind of how they went about it, because it was always, I've kind of dipped for a couple of hours into Minecraft. I haven't done it obviously as much as you, but, it always kind of intrigued me of how people build these amazing things. When you see someone building a castle and a lava moat or Star Trek Voyager or something like that, and I have just kind of jumped on a couple of Twitch streamers doing some Minecraft stuff just to see how they went about it and how it actually happened within the game.
Yeah. There's definitely a market. There's definitely a demand, and it's a new thing, and it's still emerging, I think, though, when you look at the figures of how many people enjoy it, and you chat to younger gamers, and that to them it's just normal. You think maybe it's hit, it has already emerged, but I think it's still growing. I think game streaming in this manner, the fact that Twitch is a hosting platform for many things these days, like the Spike Video Game Awards. It's not called that anymore; it's just called the Video Game Awards, isn't it? And like E3 and things, you can depend on the likes of Twitch to host that sort of thing. And I think it's gonna combine with the emergent growth of esports as well. And I think maybe like YouTube gaming, Twitch, and maybe other platforms will come to a head, and they'll combine both the streaming and hosting like esports as well, because that's the perfect platform for it, and that seems to be growing as well. Not that I've really got that involved with esports either, but they do seem to be becoming more prominent in the gaming press that I read.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see, if they're going to monetize it, allow you to have adverts, things like that. It'd be interesting. I didn't know that YouTube Gaming had launched today, so I'm going to check that out after we're done recording.
Yeah, cool. And yeah, I will too. I haven't had a chance to have a look either, and it'll be just interesting to make comparisons, because I've done a bit of Twitch and I've streamed myself. I'm only playing Spelunky. But it's such a seamless and easy process to do, and that's to stream. That's the hard part. Is easy to do, but just to watch people playing, it's quite nice, and a nostalgia thing as well. Like, so if I wanted to relive a bit of Shadow of the Colossus, yeah, I could watch it on YouTube, but I could also see somebody playing it live and sort of have some interaction with them as well if I watched it through Twitch or now YouTube Gaming. So yeah, it sounds pretty cool, and just the gravitas and the cash that YouTube have got behind them, it's going to be they'll have some ideas to give them the edge, and it'll just be interesting to watch both platforms evolve.
Absolutely, indeed. So the next piece of news is with me, and that's about Metal Gear Solid. Now, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, comes out next Tuesday, isn't it, Darren? It's Tuesday, isn't it?
What, 1st of September?
1st of September, so next Tuesday worldwide. You don't have to wait like Gears of War. But there was an article this week that came up from GameSpot, and GameSpot they had discovered that in the PvP mode, which is called FOB, which is Forward Operating Base, it features pay restricting microtransactions. So you have your mother base that in this mode you are basically kind of building a offshore fortress, and you have you have to buy MB coins, and these can be purchased with real money. So you have to you can, if you want, buy extra MB coins to speed up your base and the building of your base, so which was very interesting. Now, that was kind of released earlier this week. Konami have actually sent out an update since the initial GameSpot article came out, and they just said that there is a microtransaction system tied to Metal Gear Solid The Phantom Pain and this FOB mode. However, you do earn coins by doing stuff, by doing things in the main single player game. You also can get some credit for them, so it's not only that you will buy using real money that you get this in-game currency, you can also build it by doing certain things within the game. So you can, with any kind of free-to-play game, you can get through it without paying any real money, but obviously the real money is going to enable you to level up a lot quicker and stand a chance, I guess, with other people online if you're going online with it.
Yeah, so the news broke about this, and there was instant panic and a little bit of hatred going around the internet about this. And the thing is, it sort of depends about your position on DLC, doesn't it? I mean, I don't like DLC. And I would like to say, full stop, I wish there was no DLC, but I can't say that because I believe that when DLC is in the form of an expansion or something that enhances the game, or that it's optional and it enhances, or that it's optional and even if it's just aesthetic, like the horse armour thing, it didn't mean that if you didn't buy those. If we take the Oblivion, the sort of first instance of DLC, with Oblivion, and they brought out the horse armour pack for whatever that cost. Now, it didn't affect me. I mean, there's no way I was going to buy it. I don't know if anybody did buy it, but it didn't affect my playthrough of the game by not buying it. It was completely optional. And I'm sort of, apart from it annoyed me because I thought it was a ridiculous thing to sell, it's sort of like, well, I don't have to buy it. So I'm kind of like, well, all right, that's okay, as long as it doesn't evolve into DLC becoming something where you buy the game and then you have to buy the DLC to actually make your game that you've bought the fully rounded game that you expected. So I'm trying to make that as succinct as possible. I'd probably have to think about it to put it into a better articulation. But what I'm getting at here is, so all of a sudden everyone's like, as soon as the word DLC is mentioned, everyone flies off the handle, and it's like, it's a nightmare, DLC, we don't want it. And I think that there is a place for it if it adds or enhances or is optional and doesn't take away from the game that you've bought. If it's a full-price game that you've bought, I think that you should have the right to be able to play through it all in its entirety and enjoy it, and it not be impeded by DLC stopping you from doing it. And so what I'm saying is, when DLC actually impedes the experience of a full price game that you've paid for, that's when I think it's wrong. Now here they're saying that the DLC, the microtransactions, are simply accelerators, which is okay as long as the grind to get that money in game is kind of realistic. And I suppose that's where the crux lies with this. It's how much of a grind will it be in the game to make a decent amount of money to do what you want compared to buying it. If it's like some kind of Dungeon Keeper mobile game where you can't do anything, it's going to take you a week, of waiting to be able to do one thing, then that's not going to be right, and people will be within their rights to kick up a fuss about it. But if it's simply that, with a bit of diligence and kind of grinding that you would usually expect within a levelling up system, that you can get this money, and that the microtransactions are simply for people that just haven't got the time, then that's okay. But if it means that people can buy all these microtransactions and then go and raid your base and just completely obliterate you because of what they paid for compared to somebody that doesn't want to pay for microtransactions, then I think that is the wrong balance, and then I would disagree with it. Sorry to go on,
because the problem with that is that you instantly split the player base straight away, because the FOB mode, it basically allows you to construct offshore fortresses, and then you allocate resource and manpower that you need to defend your base, but and you're defending your base from online other players who are attacking. But instantly, if you come across, and it's your turn to attack, and you come across someone who has paid £20-30 or whatever, and they have just fortified, they're going to win every single time. And then they're going to get more XP, they'll get more of that money. So they kind of just did that initial payout, and they're going to win every time because there's actually something there. And I know for a fact, if I play the multiplayer game and the first person I come against haven't got a hope in hell in killing him, he just cleans my clock straight away, that's it. That's me done for the multiplayer, because it's going to be crazy. You can imagine Call of Duty doing something like that you could pay £20 and instantly you had a bigger gun. You had more firepower. Imagine Destiny.
Yeah, you just get the best
like
gun
that
in Destiny by paying £20 and then you're King Dingaling running around killing everybody.
Absolutely.
It's not fair. It's against the principles of gaming. I know gaming has evolved into more adventure and experience, but the fundamental of gaming, where it evolved from, was skill. And that's still a big thing in games, isn't it? That's why we've got the FPSs. That's why everyone loves Call of Duty and Destiny so much, because of the skill, because of being on an even playing field and showing how good you are compared to the other people, and getting better and stuff. And you shouldn't just pay to get that, because that's not skill. That's just paying some cash.
Absolutely. I mean, like this week, actually at the weekend, the character who sells all of the good stuff in Destiny was, you could buy Galahorn. And Galahorn is the most powerful weapon in Destiny. You still had to have done a lot of your Destiny grinding to get to buy this from Zur, but you could get it. And a lot of people were moaning, and a lot of people were hating on Destiny, because I think it's an easy thing for people to do, but they were hating because they just suddenly had released this most powerful weapon. But what Bungie were saying was that, okay, we've done that, but the reason why we've done that is because we're just about to release Destiny Year 2, and that's going to give you a whole new load of powerful weapons. So, okay, a lot more people will have Galahorn now, but we're trying to level that playing field, because we'll have a Galahorn-esque weapon there, but at no point could I fire up Destiny and pay £5 to buy Galahorn, and I'm already seeing on my Xbox store a whole ton of DLC for Metal Gear Solid. You can buy a different colour box, you can buy a different colour arm, you can buy a different colour this and that. And like you say, that's okay, because that's just an aesthetic, and you might just kind of want to have a bit of a laugh with it. And if it's, if you want to spend your money on that, more power to you. But I just feel that having something like this, and microtransactions, and the fact that you can just go ahead and buy it and you will beat other people, I just think it just kind of sets a very unfair playing field right from the start.
Yeah, I hope it isn't like this. It's pay to win, isn't it? But pay to win on multiplayer, that's not right. Pay to win on a mobile game is annoying enough, but pay to win in an actual multiplayer online game, if that's the case, then yeah, I won't be playing it. The only way they could equal that playing field is if you've got the guys that want to pay and up their stats or whatever it's going to be, buy the guns, ring fence them, and they all fight in one arena, and have all the sort of normal players, just make a barrier that you can't link across, so all the players that are attacking the base for microtransactions are all kept in one lobby, and all the ones that aren't are kept in another, and they don't cross over, so you're on a fair and even playing field with whoever it is. And if you want to be a microtransactions person and buying the guns, then you can fight against the other people that are willing to spend the cash. And if not, you can stay in the normal ground. And you could also have an option that if you have bought microtransactions and boosted yourself, you could have an option that says, I actually just want to play the normal game, and it just basically takes those stats away or guns away, then they're unavailable and you can play on a level playing field with everybody else as well. But that's not going to happen, is it?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's never going to happen because you never even know. With Sony being the evil corporation at the moment, not Sony, sorry, Konami being the evil corporation at the moment.
Sorry, Sony.
Freudian slip there. Sorry, Sony. But they can even employ people to just be sitting on these servers with a fully paid up mother base, and just beating people, so it makes someone go, oh, do you know what, I'm just going to spend £5 and so I can beat that guy, and I'm not saying they would do that, but it's potentially tempting, and you just never know what's going on behind closed doors.
You don't. And the only sort of concrete thing I know about this is that by succeeding in a multiplayer onslaught on a base, it said, a review that I read said the reward is bountiful. So there is, and it said that the resources are really important in the game. So it would have an effect on your game. And I don't know if somebody raids your base, they can actually take your resources away. I don't know if it would work like that. That would be pretty harsh. I imagine they just get a reward and it doesn't take away from what you've already got. But I don't know. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, because the reviews didn't get to experience the microtransaction part. None of the reviews that have dropped yet have experienced the microtransaction aspects, have they?
No, the multiplayer is not open yet.
So they're all reviewing just the game. So the scores that we've seen are on the game without that multiplayer aspect and without the microtransactions being tested, and I'm sure many of these reviews will be updated once that drops, and they've had a bit of time after 1st of September to assess that. But we'll see. But it'll be disappointing. And that's an understatement, if it does have a detrimental effect on the actual campaign. And if it does if they make it just so tempting that really you can't play it without actually paying, it'll be annoying to the point that I will abandon buying Konami games in the future. But then it won't really matter because Hideo Kojima's left anyway, so there won't be any more real Metal Gear Solid games. And apart from that, the Silent Hill game's not coming out, so it might not be too much of a loss to say goodbye. But we'll see. I'm saying that now, and I don't
absolutely.
know.
I mean, I think for me, that what I will be doing is I won't be doing any of this, and again, if you want to do it, more power to you. But I think I won't be doing this, and I'll just be playing against people I know. That I know I can play against you because you're not going to do it. So we're on a level playing field. It's just basically how much time and effort and skill you put into the single player mode, and and I'm sure kind of our other Spark listeners who are going to be playing it and kind of want to hook us up on with them later, or PS-Chessman, will probably be the same. So hopefully there will be maybe a little community that will build up, not just ours, but even a bigger community of people that just say no to this microtransaction.
Yeah, and that's what I was just about to say. The exact same thing. If you disagree with it, just don't buy it, and hopefully the whole practice will disappear. But the other thing I'm worried about is, you say, we would just link up together. From what I've read, they say it's a little bit like a Dark Souls-esque experience, which means you could be randomly invaded by anyone. So we'll see what happens. But did you see the trailer for Phantom Pain?
Was that the latest one? Was it today or yesterday that it dropped?
Yeah, the latest one that dropped. I think it was yesterday that it came out. And it's just so beautiful. It's sort of like a farewell. You can tell it's like a farewell from Hideo Kojima. It starts and it says that the trailer has been directed and edited by Hideo himself, and you can just sort of see the emotion in there and the sort of goodbye. It's sort of like saying a goodbye and maybe even a thank you to the fans for the support over the years. And it's just really touching. It sort of starts off, it shows all the games that he's worked on. And for me, it just, I found it very sweet and endearing. It brought a little tear to my eye watching it, as you see Psycho Mantis in the PS1 Metal Gear, and all characters and little scenes from all the others, bringing up to the culmination of what this is in Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. And just, if you haven't seen it, it's well worth a watch. Please watch it if you're a Metal Gear fan. Even if you're not, I think you'll be able to appreciate the love that's gone into it. The way that they've got there's a beautiful background song. I think it's Quiet's theme, so that it'll be in the game. It's playing in the background. It's got a wistful, beautiful song, and it's just sort of, this is my labour of love. Here it is. Thanks a lot. You've seen all these bits and you've loved these games, and then at the end it sort of said, here it is, the best story, the culmination. This is only, sort of, it's going to be the best because it's on the latest generation, and it's just a wonderful trailer. I wouldn't go so far as to say it was the next Gears of War trailer, the Mad World one, but it's nevertheless a very, very beautifully well made trailer, and I find it very poignant.
So if it was edited by Hideo Kojima, does it last for about 2 hours?
Yeah, I started watching it this morning with my breakfast, and I only got it finished just before we started recording.
Yeah, you're halfway through. And also, while we're talking about kind of trailers for Metal Gear, Eurogamer stuck a really good kind of complete story of Metal Gear so far. So if you can't remember, if you blacked out during those lengthy cutscenes, or you've just never played a Metal Gear Solid game before, then there is a really good trailer. I'll stick it in the show notes so you can kind of get to it. And we'll also put that trailer as well, Darren, that farewell trailer, and we'll stick them there because they're definitely both worth watching if you're getting ready for a Metal Gear Solid Fest on Tuesday.
Yeah, absolutely. Well worth a watch. And it's a franchise that's gone on that long that it's sort of very, it's hand in hand with gaming. It's a big thing, this in gaming, because it's a franchise that's just been there sort of over the years. There's often or always been a Metal Gear either just gone past or coming up, or if there's been silence, there's always been speculation on when the next one's going to hit, and they've always been stellar games in what they're delivering, which is Hideo Kojima's crazy vision and very intricate and hard to access story. But I've sort of played, I think I've played them all apart from Peace Walker, and I've always enjoyed them, but I haven't really got a clue what's going on. But I still love the game. I mean, read from that what you will.
Absolutely, I can't wait, or I'm interested to find out what Konami are going to do with A, the Metal Gear franchise, and B, also that Fox engine, because that's a big beast of an engine, isn't it? It's just like, so they definitely need to either, repurpose it or sell it on or do something with it, because the things that I have seen from Metal Gear Solid, the actual gameplay, they look fantastic. It looks absolutely superb. And I mean, obviously we all got a taste with Ground Zeroes, but it just looks fantastic, and it really should be repurposed and reused elsewhere.
Oh, I didn't mention, but in the games bit, I missed it out. I completed Ground Zeroes as well this week. So hooray.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
There you go. Back to kind of what you've been playing.
So that was really fun. And it gave me a taste for it. I'm so glad that I'd only just done it, because it's really primed me ready for
See, there you go. And you got that for free.
I got that for free. It just shows patience is a virtue.
Absolutely. And speaking of free games, I put that in on purpose. Speaking of free games, we have both PlayStation and Microsoft have announced their free games for September. So this is kind of getting a nice kind of monthly tradition that you're looking forward to. And entering PS Plus this month is the first title is Grow Home. So if you remember last month, that was one of the titles that you could vote for. So out of the 3 titles, Grow Home, which was definitely the stronger of the 3, that has won. Interesting side note to that is any of the other titles that were there in that vote are actually available on the PlayStation Store, and you get 30% discount if you're a PlayStation Plus member. So the other ones, they didn't just kind of fall away to obscurity. They did actually get made, and so Grow Home is free, and the others have 30% off for this month. So we've got that. That's the first title on PlayStation 4. We've also got the very awesome but brain-bending Super Time Force Ultra, and that's coming out on PS4 and PS Vita, so I'll be definitely downloading that on my Vita. Did you ever play that, Darren?
I played it because it came out on Games with Gold.
Right, of course it did.
So,
yes.
I had a dabble with that, and I quite liked it, but I didn't get that far in. I was playing, other games.
Yes.
But yeah, I quite liked it. I quite liked the humour. Though it seemed to think it was funnier than it was, but I liked the effort.
The great thing about the Super Time Force Ultra on the PS4, PS Vita is that it's also going to include Shuhei Yoshida as a character as well. So, which I think is quite a nice little nod.
Cool.
I'm expecting Phil Spencer to appear in Battletoads at any point. So we've got that. So next up, we've also got Twisted Metal. That's on PS3. And then we have Teslagrad, which is PS4 and PS3. And then Lana Mahuna X is coming out on PS Vita. And then we have Exo Drifter.
Oh.
Or Zeo Drifter.
I'd say Zeo.
Yeah, Zeo Drifter, which is a classic action-adventure game where you control an astronaut whose spaceship, I'm reading this from the PlayStation blog, his spaceship is damaged by an asteroid and he must visit 4 nearby planets in order to repair it. Very interesting. For me, I think the standouts really are Grow Home and Super Time Force.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you vote for Grow Home?
I did, yes.
Yeah, me too. It was the only one to vote for, wasn't it, really?
It really was. Out of those, I did have a look. I think we talked about it on a previous pod where I had a look at all of them. I really did the proper democratic way and just kind of went through all of them, had a look, watched their videos, and then I voted with the one that I was most pleasing.
Wow, you did your due diligence on that one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you might have mentioned it that you'd voted last week and I hadn't, and you were like, well, you've only got a few days, so I scurried off and made my vote. I wonder what the sort of monetary reward is.
Just hold that thought, because I actually have a very cool link that I found and I wanted to share with everybody. Interesting.
Wow.
So over on Xbox released theirs via Major Nelson. He released it. So what we have is from the 1st to the 30th of September, we have something called Dear God, and that's Dear as in DEER. Not quite sure what that is, but it's interesting. And we also have from the 16th of October to the 16th of September to the 15th of October, we have Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. So what we were talking about earlier, that remaster of Tomb Raider is coming out on Xbox One. So that's quite a great title to bag, I think.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Is that the first sort of blockbuster title that they've given us?
I really would say. I mean, we've had Rayman, if you want to count Rayman as a blockbuster title, but this is a really, and it's quite an important one as well with that Xbox timed exclusive of Tomb Raider coming out. This really is kind of wetting everyone's whistle, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great strategy and it's win-win because the game has won a great game and this is a fantastic game to give away, and it's like, right, we want to give them like a AAA, if you like. We want to give them a great game. What we're going to give them, and it's like, well, this one works so well because they'll be happy to get this game, and it's a great game as well. It's a bloody brilliant game.
Yes.
And they're going to get the benefit because everyone's going to wet their whistles for that style of game and be, hopefully hankering for more, and they'll all be jumping on the Tomb Raider bandwagon for Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Absolutely. I played this on the 360, as we mentioned earlier, but I've always been tempted on that kind of rainy Sunday afternoon to buy Tomb Raider Definitive Edition, but there's always been something else, or I've always thought, that might come out on Games of Gold because it does look a lot shinier. I remember when it first came out, there was lots of comparison videos, and it does look shinier. The hair's more wavier. And it really is just a really good kind of beef up of as you say, a very good game. So that's what we've got over on Xbox One. We've got Dear God and Tomb Raider, the Definitive Edition. On 360, and don't forget, those people that have Xbox One, if you get these, they will be backwards compatible, and they are Battle Stations Pacific and also Crisis 3. Now, I bet Crisis 3 kind of running on Xbox One, because it looked pretty smart on Xbox 360, so I bet Crisis 3 running on Xbox One will look really nice. So it's worthwhile, even if you just log on to Xbox.com and just kind of bag those two titles when they come out. It's definitely worth it, because like I say, you'll be able to play those on backwards compatibility when that ships, if you're not in the preview program.
Yeah, and if you ever had a hankering for it later on, you'll kick yourself for not doing it.
Absolutely. Now, back to what you were talking about. Now, I found a fantastic link on IGN's website, and I'll stick this as well in our show notes, which is packed this week. I quite like that. There's lots of stuff for people to click on Gamers of the Lost Spark.
We are good to our listeners.
We are good. Now, what I found in the IGN wiki was a comparison chart, and what it does, it shows you all of the games, it gives you their current retail price, and the total value of both PS Plus and Games with Gold for this month. Now, so this month we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was me counting live. We've got 6 titles on the PS Plus, and that comes into, unfortunately it's dollars, but it comes into $87.94. And that's, so the PS Plus games for September are $87.94. Over on Games with Gold, we've got 4, but they come in at a retail price of $89.96. So you're actually getting $2.02 more value with your Games with Gold than you are kind of on the PS Plus. But it just shows that on both of those platforms, both Games with Gold and PS Plus, that you're really getting value for your money.
Wow, I love that comparison. It isn't actually what I was going to say, but I love it anyway. And so if we've got 2 consoles like me and you, that's $160, roughly per month.
Mm-hmm.
Times that by the year, let's just do it by 10 because it's easier. $1,600 plus another 2 160s. It's quite a lot, isn't it? Over the year, you're getting like $1,200, $1,300 worth of games in a year.
Absolutely. It's really interesting because if you scroll down on the link that I'll put, they show July. And in July, where we had Rocket League and Master of Shadows and Mousecraft and Geometry Wars, etc., for the PS Plus, it was $104 worth of free games in July.
Wow. It's literally too many games to play as well. Well, certainly for me. I mean, not for the 14-year-old me. I'd have been there going through it on all of them. It's just that I've got a few more responsibilities these days, boo. But, yeah, it's great, isn't it? Great for everybody, and there's the choice there. And, one month pays for your subscription.
Absolutely, I think there's been some, on PS Plus, there's been some real classics this year. You have had, Counter Spy and, obviously the fantastic Rocket League, which is now almost an esports, where people are kind of streaming this live. And I think Rocket League owes its success to being a PS Plus game, because I don't think as many people would have played it or tried it had it not, and now seeing it, it's such a fantastic game. But the interesting thing, and maybe where you were going on this, Darren, was I wonder how much the developers of Rocket League were paid for this to be a PS Plus game.
That's exactly what I was getting at, because I was going to say that, like, I wonder what is the best situation for the developers. Would it be that Grow Home are like, yes, because we got picked, that's great, or are they because, I don't know, Sony reimbursed them so much, which I presume they must do? Is that the jackpot, or are the other guys saying, "Oh, thank goodness we didn't get picked because actually we'll get the money from the sales, and if we get enough sales, So I wonder which one." Because obviously they'll subsidise whoever's the free one direct from Sony, so that's like guaranteed. The other ones would have to, wait on the sales. But I just wonder which of those choices would be the winner.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really, and then it's not something that Sony have publicised or Microsoft, because
I never hear anything about that sort of murky.
Because Microsoft
world.
have got a ID at Xbox game, which is Dear God, and I've never heard of it. But I'm going to download it and have a look and have a try, which I wouldn't have done if I had to pay $14.99 for it. So
yeah, and I'd never heard of it either. But I'm the same, and I've read a little bit about it, and it sounds really good. Yeah,
absolutely. So, I think it's probably a win for these. And also, don't forget that this is just for 1 month. Once it's out there, word of mouth starts going out. Oh, you must get Grow Home. It's fantastic. And then they go on to Xbox, PlayStation, and they have to buy it now.
Yeah,
and they just download it.
Yeah,
so,
I had that with Resogun, because I didn't get my PS4 on launch, so I didn't get Resogun for free. But I knew, because of the hype, that everybody loved it. The reviews were stellar as well, and I just wanted it so much, but they don't repeat it, and I'd missed it, and I was like, I've got to get that game. And it wouldn't probably have got, maybe in those circumstances, because it was one of the best games at launch. It was a good technical demonstration of the capabilities of the console. But in another situation, then yeah, what you say exactly there, that ripple effect of, and it is only a month. It's not like it's free forever, is it? If you're not there, if you haven't subscribed to PS Plus during that month, then you miss it. And there's never been an instance of them repeating a PS Plus game. So if you miss it, you miss it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you haven't got a PS4 yet, but you've got a PS3, you have a PS Plus account. Again, the same as Games with Gold, you can just go onto the PlayStation Store online and just bag that title. I know a friend of mine. He didn't have a PlayStation 4 until earlier this year, but he'd already kind of done it every month. Has gone, yep, I'm going to have that. And when he got his PS4, he had a whole bevy of games just waiting to be downloaded.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just really cool. Really cool.
Fantastic. Right, next piece of news for you.
So this one, there seems to have been found a patent, a US patent, patenting what we think is the new NX console from Nintendo. The new US patent seems to describe more of a traditional home console. Some people were speculating that it'd be more of a gamepad that you'd carry around with you. But the patent seems to describe the sort of console that we're used to. Now, the description of the console in the patent is thus. An example system includes an internal hard disk drive storing a program and or data, a communication unit transmitting / receiving a program, and, this is really boring, or data via a network, and a processor executing a program stored in the hard disk drive to perform game processing. I should have read that out in a sort of a GLaDOS impression. It would have probably gone down better. An example system includes an internal... Anyway. So it started theories about what it actually could be, and the speculation is that it's not going to have an optical drive, so it's going to be a diskless console. And reading the forums in NeoGAF and the like, it seems that speculation and rumour is pointing towards that it's going to use some kind of cartridge system, if it's not download only exclusively. But people that I've been reading have been suggesting that cartridge, not in the way that we used to know a cartridge, but more in sort of a flash memory stick would provide the game. And because that's read and write, you could download to that game that's on your USB flash card that is the game. So a new sort of game delivered on a memory card. And I think it's a really cool idea because you wouldn't run out of space on your hard drive from installing games. And mods could be installed to that. And I just think it sounds quite interesting, really. Though it is quite similar, diskless, the diskless side I'm getting at here, it's quite similar to sort of what Microsoft presented with their launch of the Xbox One that everybody rebelled against. So that's also interesting. But there doesn't seem to be loads of hate now. So it's either that, as usual, Nintendo sort of get a free pass, or we could say that we've had time to reflect as a gaming community. I say we, not me, but the gaming community out there, and maybe now is more of an appropriate time to move in that direction than, and the gamers weren't ready for that, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting because I think the pattern diagram just shows an SSD slot, doesn't it? That's the kind of only kind of media reading thing. There's a hard drive on board the NX or that pattern diagram, and it is just really interesting. I just thought at one point when I first saw it, I thought maybe it's going to be, there'll be like two SKUs of it where you can have one that's going to be digital only and there'll be another one with a disc, because I didn't think Nintendo could be that ballsy and go for something that didn't have a disc drive.
Yeah, I suppose, but they were ballsy enough to come out with the Wii and that, with the Wiimote, which was I think that was pretty ballsy, to go against convention there. So we'll see. This is again, I was saying about not hearing so much stuff, and I'd rather just hear it closer to the time. I sort of wish I wasn't hearing this. Certainly, I feel like a bit of a hypocrite now for even talking about it. But I sort of wish just none of this. We didn't hear any of this, and they just pulled off a nice sparkly cover off an NX, at the next E3 or something, and we were all just blown away. But speculation's kind of nice, I suppose. So we'll see. But I kind of like the idea of a flash card as a games media. I quite like that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It would make retail quite interesting, wouldn't it? I mean, I guess it's no different to a 3DS cartridge at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Or even really just a smaller version of the old cartridges, but they'll have a lot more storage capacity on them. And, the price of flash memory has come down substantially, so it could certainly be absorbed within the price of the game. And I was reading some theories that these days with the Xbox One and the PS4, the reason that most of the game gets installed onto the hard drive is because basically the games are that complex now and advanced that they need a faster speed rate that they need from the hard drive. The read speed from the disc isn't fast enough for it to process it to give you an optimum experience of the game. Your hard drive can do that because it's faster than the disk speed. Okay, and they set some speeds out, and I haven't got these in front of me, but basically your flash memory is really, really, really fast. A lot faster than probably a hard drive or an optical disk drive, which means that you can get. This is, for me, it's indicating that you're going to be able to get better experiences, better games, better graphics, all on these cartridges. Or flash sticks or whatever they're going to be, and it's USB 2 or USB 3, whatever the medium is. They're really fast rates of read rates, and that's what it's all about. That's what getting it into the system as quick as you can is going to give us a better experience. And it makes me think: could this be sort of what I've hoped for and mentioned before? Could it actually be that they're going to bring out a console that instead of being sort of not quite as good as the existing runners, could it be that they're just going to blow our socks off when they unveil the NX?
I hope so. I really hope so. I'd love Nintendo to just come out and go, here's a new Mario game. It's Mario 64 2, and it looks like a Pixar. It looks like a Pixar movie. Here you go. I'm hoping. I mean, Nintendo actually did. They released some news this week saying that they're more open to seeing their characters in movies or making some movies themselves. So they're kind of licensing their characters for movies. I just thought, obviously, instantly everybody thought Zelda live action movie would be fantastic. A Pixar Mario movie would be great. That sort of stuff. So I would love the NX to just have some graphics that just really wowed me because, as I've said time and time, the Mario, when you play Mario Kart, as you saw this weekend, Darren, when you were playing it, Mario Kart has some amazing graphics and it looks fantastic. And I would just love to see, as I said previously, I'd love to see an Animal Crossing game look like that. I'd love to see a Mario game, not with the Mario kind of 3D world or whatever. I want to see a proper Mario game like Sunshine, like Galaxy without the waggling, or Mario 64. I want to see that kind of Mario game, and I'm hoping that the NX delivers that experience.
Yeah, I'm hoping it too. And this, when I was reading and researching more and sort of digging deeper into the forums and the theories and the rumours and the speculation, I was starting to, my tenuous hope started to grow. And yeah, I'm thinking, we could get another N64 unveil moment here, and I really, really, truly, like yourself, hope we do. So we'll see, but that to me is good news. I'm not bothered about the lack of an optical drive. I like the idea of a new kind of gaming medium. Nintendo are quite good at pioneering new things like that, because they've gone out on a limb twice. Not so hot with the Wii U, but they certainly hit gold with the Wii. So yeah, let's just see what happens again. Like a lot of these things where we speculate, but it's optimistic. I think it's looking good.
Fantastic, excellent stuff. But you have the next piece as well.
Oh yeah, of course I do. Yeah, so this is quite fun. I like this, and I don't know if you've already done it, but you could tell me in a sec. But yeah, there's a website called wastedondestiny.com, and it's about how much time you've played Destiny for. So when you go to wastedondestiny.com, its heading is Time Wasted on Destiny, and you pop in your username, and it will basically find how much time you've wasted on Destiny. So if I just pop mine in now, so I'm just on there now, Wythermater, and you should do the same, Anthony. You probably
absolutely. Obviously, I'm against this website because I loved Destiny, so I enjoyed it. But I've got my gamer tag in there, Chessman on Xbox. I'm gonna hit go.
Yay! Well, while it gets it for you, I'll reveal mine, which just shocked me because it's more than The Witcher that I played Destiny. So it comes up with if you played it on PlayStation or Xbox. So I've never played it on Xbox, but on PlayStation, one character, 37 hours spent. So my total time spent 37 hours.
You noob.
Part-timer.
I am Chessman UK. What's Chessman UK? That's my Bungie account. So Chessman on Xbox, one character, 76 hours.
Wow. That's a lot of time.
I love the leaderboard. They show the leaderboard, and the person who's ranked number one has played it for 3,790 hours.
Can you believe that? How many days is that? I haven't got a calculator to hand. A lot of days. That's a lot of continuous days.
It really is. It really is. But 76 hours, that's not bad. And 76 hours, well, I can say 76 hours of fun. Maybe 66 hours of fun.
Wow, but it's really interesting, isn't it? So what's your rank?
Bear with me, I just closed it down. Let me have a look.
I'm sorry.
Have a look. And my rank was 82,646.
Right, my rank is 86,402. So we're not that different, are we?
No, absolutely. I like that. I thought that's really cool. There used to be a website called, was it Rapture or Raptor or something like that, that it would log all of your time across multiple platforms. So you just put all your usernames in, and it had quite a nice app as well on the iPhone, and you could just look to see kind of how long you've been playing all of these games. But I deleted it because I didn't want to know how much time I was putting in to all of these games.
Oh, I've just noticed if you roll over the time played, it breaks it down to you. So the number one guy is played for, if you don't want it just in hours, it's 22 weeks, 3 days, 21 hours, 32 minutes and 11 seconds.
Wow, I've played for 3 days, 4 hours, 50 minutes and 49 seconds.
And I've played for 1 day, 13 hours and 37 minutes and 4 seconds. So it's a cool site, isn't it, just to find that out.
It's really cool. That's really cool. So that's wastedondestiny.com.
Yeah, and we'll stick that in the show notes as well, I think.
Beautiful. Right, my last piece of news for this episode is that Sony has dated yet another press conference. So last week we were talking about their double whammy, which was the Paris Games Show and also their PlayStation Experience in San Francisco. This week, they have announced that they will be holding their annual PlayStation press conference at the Tokyo Game Show. So this will be streamed live on Tuesday the 15th of September, 4 p.m. Tokyo time, which is 8 a.m. UK time, and so they will be holding a press briefing. Normally, I think the Tokyo press briefing is about 90 minutes, so hopefully we'll get some good announcements there from Sony.
Yeah, that'd be really cool, and I'm sure we will get some good announcements as well. Let's just see, can they rival that strong showing from Microsoft this year? We'll see.
Absolutely, and this will be interesting because this is the first of their 3 press conferences that they've got this year, so let's hope they can just kind of keep building and building and building. Yeah,
I hope so, because it's not about who's best for me, it's just about better games for all of us. Yeah, and so my last snippet of news and the final piece of news for this podcast is about Quantum Break, the AAA, if you like, blockbuster game that's coming out exclusively on Xbox One. It looks pretty cool. I don't know if you remember, Anthony, I said that I don't think it's going to succeed that well, but time will tell anyway. Time will tell. I'm estimating that it's only going to get a 6 or a 7 out of 10, but we'll see. Anyway, the good news is that, and this is a really good-looking game, and it's a big game, and it's going to run at 1080p on Xbox One, which I think is fantastic news because it's sort of like, oh well, yeah, there are some 1080p's on Xbox One, but it's like, oh well, they're only small games or something like that. Well, this is going to be a big, all bells and whistles game, and it's running at 1080p. So I think it's good news. Another one to add to the list.
Absolutely. I mean, it had to run at 1080p, didn't it? For being a Microsoft exclusive
flagship game.
Yeah, absolutely. It has to run at 1080p. Maybe not 60 frames, but it has to run at 1080p.
Yeah, it's going to be 30 frames per second, but 1080p, and maybe with DirectX 12 and what have you, we'll see more and more 1080p and maybe 60 FPS as well in the future. But still, I mean, if I'm absolutely honest, I don't think I can really tell when something's 720 or 1080 or 900. Maybe that's just me. Maybe it's because I play on a projector as well, because I do sacrifice a little bit of clarity for the size of my screen. Can you see that difference? Because I know if I worked in the trade and I was looking at sort of stills, like you can look at stills and then you can see a difference. But as far as enjoying a game, do you really notice?
I don't notice the frames per second so much, but I definitely noticed the P's. I'm very much like it on, and it could be just down to the 4K TV that I have, but I'm very much like that with like TV. When I'm watching Sky, which is 1080i, to something of the same thing but on a Blu-ray with 1080p, I definitely noticed that difference.
Right.
I noticed it on Netflix, and also actually this week what I was doing was I had Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes running on both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and I was flipping between the two. And so one's running at 900 and one's running at 1080, and I didn't think I would be able to see the difference when it's so minuscule, but you really could. And I played the first bit of Ground Zeroes, including that intro, which is all in-game engine, and you could really see the difference. One was lighter, there were some more textures, and it was really interesting, but I definitely think I can see the difference between 720 and 1080.
If you could see between 1080i and 1080p, you'd be able to see 720p to 1080, wouldn't you? Because that's even more different.
Absolutely. I used to run my Skybox at 720p because I preferred the P to the I, so I used to run it at 720. But with my new TV, like the 4K TV, I've kind of upped that to the I, and it looks better on that TV. But definitely, I think the clarity that TV gives me, that you can definitely see the difference between those.
Okay, that's cool.
But like I say, when it comes to the whole 60 frames, 30 frames thing, I see that it goes smoother, but I definitely can't see the difference.
Okay, yeah, interesting. Well, but there you go. Another 1080p to add to the Xbox's growing collection of 1080p titles. Just maybe a bit of frames per second, to work on going forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Superb. And that's about it for episode 16. So a big thanks for listening to the podcast. Don't forget, you can keep up with us at gamersoflostspark.com. There you will kind of see all of the links that we've been talking about in this podcast, as well as Darren's latest article about that release collision between Mad Max and Metal Gear Solid 5. Well worth a read. You can also find us on Facebook. We're on Twitter at Lost Spark Pod, and we're also on YouTube as well. Darren, where can we find you online?
Yeah, you can get me online as Wythamator on PS4, Xbox One and Twitch, Dazagamer on YouTube, and at Dazwitham on Twitter. What about your good self, sir?
For me, I am Chessman on Xbox Live. I'm PS-Chessman on the PlayStation Network, and I'm also Chessman UK on Twitter. Don't forget, if you have any feedback, please send it to our email address. That email address is feedback@gamersoflostspark.com. You could also, if you wanted to, you could also drop us what are your top 3 games that you're looking forward to this year. We'd love to hear what your 3 choices are. And also, if you're feeling generous, please leave us a review on iTunes. So that's about it. So we'll see you next week. Happy gaming and get into some gears.
Yeah, happy gaming, one and all. See ya.